Chapter 659. Ji Tianxing was very clear that not long after he left, the Duanmu family would be alarmed. At that time, the news of the destruction of the Shadow Palace would also spread, causing a lot of shock in the underground city. The Duanmu family would definitely be furious and investigate this matter. The underground city and central state city would definitely be in turmoil for a while. However, these had nothing to do with him. He flew across the dark sky like a stream of light, and it didn't take long for him to leave the underground city. 2 hours later, Ji Tianxing returned to the central state city on the surface and rushed to the branch of the hidden cloud pavilion. He had discussed it with Yun Yao before. As long as he found Yun Yao would be responsible for taking Yun out of the dark city as soon as possible. The two of them agreed to meet at the branch of the hidden cloud pavilion after the matter was over. When he rushed back to the branch of the hidden cloud pavilion, Deacon Li hurriedly greeted him and reported, "Young Master Ji, young Miss has returned and is in the secret room." Then got it. Ji Tianxing nodded and hurried to the secret room. When he entered the secret room, he saw Yun Yao helping Yen heal. Yen was lying on a spiritual jade bed in the corner of the secret room. His eyes were closed, his face was pale, and his breath was very weak. Yun Yao stood by the bed and waved her palms to release true essence into the jade bed. The green spiritual jade bed lit up with a dense green light, bursting with a strong vitality aura, constantly pouring into Yen's body. Ji Tianxing walked to the side of the spiritual jade bed and checked on Yen's situation. Seeing that his injury had stabilized and was not life-threatening, he was slightly relieved. Yun Yao stopped channeling and turned to Ji Tianxing. She asked in a concerned tone, "Tianxing, are you injured? What about the black-robed old man? Did you catch him?" Ji Tianxing shook his head and said calmly, "I'm fine. That old cripple had a spiritual treasure to protect his body, so he escaped. However, he escaped with the help of the Shadow Palace. I have already destroyed the Shadow Palace." Yun Yao was stunned for a moment and asked in disbelief, "You actually destroyed the Shadow Palace?" Ji Tianxing nodded. A cold light flickered in his eyes as he said in a deep voice, "Just treat it as collecting some interest first and creating some trouble for the Duanmu clan." Yun Yao nodded and stopped talking about this matter. "Yen's injuries are very serious. Let's help him heal first." Ji Tianxing pondered for a moment before saying, "The imperial residence is more suitable for healing. Let's take him back." "That's good too." Yun Yao naturally nodded in agreement. After that, the two of them left the hidden cloud pavilion branch with Yen and quietly returned to the monarch mansion. When they returned to Tianxing Palace, Ji Ku and Qian Yu were already waiting anxiously. Ji Ku and Qian Yu heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that they had returned safely and rescued Yen. Ji Tianxing arranged for Yen to stay in the secret room and joined hands with Yun Yao to treat his injuries. Tianxing Palace was full of spiritual energy and there were a lot of elixirs and miraculous medicines. It was very suitable for healing injuries. The two of them spent half a day and helped Yen recover more than half of his injuries. Although Yen's strength was still weak, it was no longer a big problem. After resting in Tianxing Palace for 10 days to half a month, he would gradually recover. That night, Yen finally woke up. Ji Tianxing, Yun Yao, Ji Ku, and the others heard the news and quickly entered the secret room to visit. Yen was lying on the ice jade bed. His small face was slightly pale and his eyes were a little dim. He was in a bad state. When he saw everyone enter the secret room, he smiled and sat up to greet everyone. "Senior brother Tianxing, eldest senior sister, thank you for saving me. And junior sister Ji Ku and Qian Yu. It's all my fault. I made everyone worry again." Yun Yao and Ji Ku quickly comforted him, telling him not to think too much and to rest well. Ji Tianxing frowned and pondered for a moment. He asked Yen, "The people who captured you this time are the Duanmu family's soul-hurting hall assassins. The mastermind behind this is a black-robed old man with a broken arm and leg. He seems a little strange and claimed to have a grudge with you. Yen, why don't you tell us what happened before?" Yen nodded and told the cause of the matter in detail. "That morning, I entered Zhongzhou City and prepared to go to the hidden cloud pavilion branch to contact the news. who knew that when I passed by the Wu Feng Zhuang, there were 4 assassins dressed in black who attacked me without saying anything. Yen Er's story was the same as the result of the Hidden Cloud Pavilion's investigation. After listening to his words, Ji Tianxing nodded and said with a solemn face, "So, the Duanmu family captured you to deal with me." Before he could finish, Yen Er shook his head and said, "Senior brother Tianxing, it's not like that. The mastermind is the black-robed old man with a broken arm and leg. He didn't want to deal with you. His target is me." Ji Tianxing, Yun Yao, and Ji Ko all showed a puzzled expression. "Why do you say that?" "Junior brother Yen, why do you have a grudge with the black-robed old man?" "Yes, junior brother Yen, you haven't traveled in Zhongzhou before. Who would you have a grudge with?" Yen frowned and explained in a low voice, "After the black-robed old man caught me, I was awake for a few hours. During that time, the black-robed old man talked to himself for a long time like a madman. I can sense that he has the aura of our fire clan. The little flame snake in his palm is most likely the spiritual vein of our fire clan, the 9-flame spiritual snake." Hearing this, Ji Tianxing, Yun Yao, and Ji Ku all showed a surprised look. "That old cripple is from your fire clan? Since he is from the fire clan and you are the crown prince of the fire clan, why does he want to deal with you?" Yen nodded and said in a solemn tone, "That old man is indeed from our fire clan. However, he should be an abandoned person who was expelled from the fire clan. He is missing a left arm and a right leg. It seems to be caused by injuries, but in fact he was tortured by our fire clan. I once heard from my father that our fire clan has a kind of torture called cutting the flesh to return the blood. It is used to punish those who betrayed the fire clan and committed the most heinous crimes. This kind of torture is to cut off the left arm and right leg of the prisoner and let out half of the blood to apologize to the ancestors of the fire clan and repay the kindness of the fire clan. After the prisoners are tortured, they will often die and use their lives to atone for their sins. And those who are lucky enough to survive will be expelled from the fire clan and will never be able to step into the fire clan again. However, this kind of torture has not been seen for many years. After all, our fire clan is very united and loyal." After listening to Yen's story, Ji Tianxing, Yun Yao, and Ji Ku all felt incredulous and showed a complicated expression. The fire clan actually has this kind of torture? That black-robed old man's left arm and right leg were cut and half of his blood was let out, but he didn't die. I guess when he was tortured, his strength had already reached the Sky Origin realm. Only a Sky Origin realm powerhouse can survive this kind of situation. It seems that there is a deep grudge between the black-robed old man and the fire clan. Chapter 660. Everyone discussed for a while, but they couldn't come to a conclusion. Ji Tianxing thought for a moment and said to Yen, if it's really like what you said, that black-robed old man is an abandoned person of the fire clan, then he must have a grudge with the fire clan. It's reasonable for him to send people to catch you and claim to have a grudge with you. However, these are all old stories. I'm afraid only your parents know about the twists and turns in it." Yen nodded in agreement and said, "Then I'll immediately write a letter to my father and mother and tell them about this matter. Maybe they know the identity of the black-robed old man." Ji Tianxing nodded slightly and said, "It should be like this. No matter what grudge the black-robed old man has with the fire clan, he shouldn't vent his anger on you. You have to report this matter to the Fire Emperor and Fire Empress. They will definitely think of a way to deal with it. In addition, the Soul Herding Hall's assassins have already targeted you. If they can catch you once, they can catch you a second time. During this time, you stay in the palace to recuperate. Don't leave the monarch mansion, in case you encounter danger again." Yun Yao also nodded in agreement and said, "Yes, only the monarch mansion is safe." After saying that, she looked at Ji Tianxing again and said in a dignified tone, "Tianxing, this time we caused such a big commotion in the underground city, you even destroyed the Shadow Palace. The Duanmu clan must have already received the news. As long as they investigate carefully, it won't be difficult to find us. The Shadow Palace was destroyed, causing the Duanmu clan to suffer a lot of losses, and also a great loss of face. They will definitely retaliate against us. Following this, we should also make our preparations. We have to act carefully in Central Continent City. After Ji Tianxing heard this, he smiled slightly and shook his head gently. Yao Yao, don't worry, what you said, I have already thought about it. Since I dared to brazenly destroy the Shadow Palace, I naturally have my plans and considerations. The Shadow Palace is the hidden property of the Duanmu clan. It can't be exposed, it can only be hidden in the underground city. They definitely don't dare to show it on the surface. Even if I destroy the Dark Shadow Palace, the Duanmu clan can only suffer in silence and won't dare to make a fuss. After all, no matter how powerful the Duanmu clan was, they wouldn't dare to openly go against the imperial court's orders. Moreover, the Duanmu clan was a big tree that attracted the wind. They also had many opponents and enemies. After this incident, their opponents and enemies would inevitably make use of this matter to make an issue out of it and take the opportunity to suppress and attack the Duanmu clan. This is not a small problem, and it will definitely give the Duanmu clan a headache. Yun Yao thought for a moment and nodded. That's right. The Dark Shadow Palace was the property of the Duanmu clan. Everyone knew this, but the Duanmu clan would never admit it. Now that the Shadow Palace was in trouble, many families and forces that had grudges with the Duanmu family would definitely take this opportunity to strike. The Duanmu clan has to divert their attention to deal with those opponents, so they can't openly search for and hunt us down. And that's right. Ji Tianxing nodded as a smile appeared on his face. He then continued in a playful tone, besides, since I've decided to take the initiative to attack the Duanmu family, I won't just sit and wait for death. I won't wait for the Duanmu family to come knocking on my door for revenge. Our previous plan has already taken effect. The Duanmu clan has already had internal strife. But this is not enough, and it can't hurt the foundation of the Duanmu clan. With Duanmu Huang's ability, he will definitely settle this matter quickly. So, I have to carry out the second step of the plan, which is to find ways to destroy the Duanmu clan's property. The Duanmu clan has fallen into chaos, and I have to add fuel to the fire to wreak havoc, gradually weakening their power. Hearing this, Yun Yao, Jiku, and Yin all showed expectant expressions and looked at him with interest. Tianxing, what's the second step of your plan? Big brother Tianxing, how are you going to wreak havoc? At the mention of this question, Ji Tianxing's face showed a playful smile, and said in a low voice, I've been to Greenwood City before, and I've passed by the Mango Jungle twice. As everyone knows, the Mango Jungle is the Duanmu clan's territory, and there are endless medicinal herbs growing there. Also, there are several medicinal gardens that the Duanmu clan has meticulously built in the depths of the Mango Jungle. As long as we find a way to destroy those medicinal gardens, we can cause huge losses to the Duanmu clan and greatly weaken their power. After all, the medicinal herbs cultivated in those medicinal gardens are all precious spiritual herbs. Spiritual herbs need to be carefully cultivated, and they will only mature after many years of growth. Only then can they be sold and refined into elixirs. Once the medicinal gardens are destroyed, most of the spiritual herbs will be in short supply, and they will need to be cultivated for many years before they can mature again. The Duanmu clan is an elixir family, and they rely on elixirs to establish themselves in the world. As long as their supply is in short supply, a series of properties will be affected and impacted. Even if the Duanmu clan still has medicinal herbs in storage, they won't be able to maintain it for long. Hearing Ji Tianxing's words, Yun Yao's and Ji Ku's eyes instantly flashed with a bright light as they revealed astonishment. Big brother Tianxing, you want to destroy the Duanmu clan's medicinal gardens? Tianxing, isn't this idea of yours a little too bold? Ji Tianxing raised his eyebrows and said in a playful tone, Yao Yao, I understand your concern, but this plan of mine is indeed a little bold. The medicinal gardens in the Mango Jungle are the foundation and lifeline of the Duanmu clan. The defense must be very tight, and there might even be experts guarding them. Although the Duanmu clan has many enemies and rivals, no one dares to lay a hand on the medicinal gardens. Those forces are either not strong enough, or they don't dare to be so ruthless. After all, destroying the medicinal gardens is equivalent to taking the Duanmu clan's life, and that is an irreconcilable hatred. However, I killed Duanmu Yulong and Duanmu Feiyu. The Duanmu clan has a blood feud with me, and they definitely won't let me go. Since that's the case, I'm not afraid of anything. What's there that I don't dare to do? Yun Yao frowned and thought for a moment, then nodded and said, Tianxing, your idea is not bad. It's very bold, and once it succeeds, it will definitely deal a heavy blow to the Duanmu clan. Actually, my father had the same idea back then, but our Yun clan can't go to war with the Duanmu clan, so we can only think about it. Ji Tianxing nodded in agreement and said, That's right, the three ancient families must maintain peace and balance. This is the imperial court's method of balancing. Only then can we ensure the stability and peace of the human race. However, I'm different. I can use all kinds of methods to deal with the Duanmu clan without any scruples. This is also one of the reasons why I can talk to your father about cooperation. Yun Yao thought for a moment, then said with a serious expression, Tianxing, although your plan is feasible, we must treat it seriously and plan for the long term. The medicinal gardens in the mango jungle are the lifeline of the Duanmu clan, and the defense is very tight. According to the Hidden Cloud Pavilion's understanding, not only are there a large number of elite guards guarding the medicinal gardens, there is also an ancient beast guarding them. Chapter 661. Ancient Mutated Beast? Ji Tianxing furrowed his brows slightly and revealed an interested look. There were very few demonic beast bloodlines from the ancient era. Every ancient mutated beast had unimaginable abilities. They were much more mysterious and powerful than ordinary demonic beasts. Yao Yao, can you tell me more about that ancient mutated beast? Yun Yao frowned and thought for a while. Then she said, I heard my father mention that the ancient mutated beast guarding the Duanmu family's herb garden is called the Firebird of Heaven. That ancient mutated beast is a bird as big as a mountain. It can spit out fire that can burn everything. According to the historical records, the Firebird of Heaven was a rare mutated beast in the ancient era. It can control the power of earth fire and heavenly fire. It is very destructive. A commander of the Hidden Cloud Pavilion once sneaked into the herb garden and observed the Firebird of Heaven at close range. The Firebird of Heaven has been reared by the Duanmu family for hundreds of years. Its strength has reached the half-step soul-tempering realm. That Firebird of Heaven is very close to becoming a demonic emperor mutated beast. It has the chance to become a divine beast in the future. Hearing this, Ji Tianxing immediately frowned, and his eyes became slightly solemn. A half-step soul-tempering realm ancient mutated beast? Has no one dared to destroy the Duanmu family's herb garden? He thought of the mighty miracle god he met in Giant Miracle City. Before he found his heart, he was already a half-step soul-tempering realm cultivator. At that time, he and the other 9 prodigies joined forces to attack the mighty miracle god. They were defeated by the mighty miracle god. If there was really a half-step soul-tempering realm ancient mutated beast in the Duanmu family's herb garden, they would be in big trouble. Apart from soul-tempering realm cultivators, no one could resist the attack of the Firebird of Heaven. With his strength of Sky Origin Stage 4, he was no match for the Firebird of Heaven. Yun Yao nodded and said, That's right. With the Firebird of Heaven guarding the herb garden, nothing will go wrong. For so many years, no one has dared to destroy the herb garden of the Duanmu family. They don't even dare to get close to it. Tianxing, if you want to destroy the herb garden, you have to think it over carefully. Ji Tianxing thought for a moment, then said in a low voice, That Firebird is so strong, it will definitely be difficult to deal with. If I don't have a way to deal with the Firebird of Heavenly Wind, I will definitely be seriously injured or even lose my life if I rashly sneak into the Duanmu clan's herb garden. It seems that I really have to think of a foolproof plan before I can start. At this point, everyone fell silent, and the secret chamber fell into silence. Although Ji Tianxing's idea was very good, if he didn't deal with the Firebird, everything would be empty talk. At this moment, a guard came to the door of the secret room and reported the news in a respectful tone. My lord, here is a letter for you. Please take a look. Ji Tianxing quickly got up and opened the door of the secret room. He took a letter from the guard. He opened the envelope and took out the letter inside. He held it in his hands and read it carefully. After reading the contents of the letter, he immediately revealed a smile. Seeing his expression, Yun Yao and Ji Ku looked at him in confusion. Tianxing, whose letter is this? Big brother Tianxing, is there any good news? Ji Tianxing handed the letter to Ji Ku and nodded with a smile. He said to the two girls, there is indeed good news. This letter is from Senior Beast King. He left Zhongzhou for some business and returned to Beast King Valley in Tianjin region. Now that he has finished his business, he has returned to Zhongzhou City. Senior Beast King said that if we have nothing to do, we can go to Qingfeng Courtyard in Fish Dragon Alley to look for him. Senior Beast King came back just in time. He has dealt with spirit beasts and demonic beasts all his life, so he is very knowledgeable in this field. He definitely knows more about the Firebird of Heavenly Wind. Maybe he has a way to deal with the Firebird of Heavenly Wind. At this point, Ji Tianxing frowned and pondered for a moment. Then he said to Yun Yao, Yao Yao, you go back and rest first. I'm going to Qingfeng Courtyard to pay a visit to Senior Beast King and ask him about the Firebird of Heavenly Wind. If Senior Beast King can help me think of a way, I'll come to you to discuss this matter. Yun Yao nodded in agreement. She said goodbye to everyone and turned to leave the secret room. After she left, Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku also walked out of the secret room. Ji Ku saw that Ji Tianxing wanted to visit the Beast King alone, so she pulled his arm and said, Big brother Tianxing, we haven't seen Senior Beast King for a long time. I want to go to Qingfeng Courtyard with you. Ji Tianxing didn't refuse and nodded without hesitation. Then, the two of them rode Qianyu and flew into the sky, rushing toward the exit of the monarch mansion. 2 hours later, Qianyu carried the two of them to the end of Fish Dragon Alley and landed outside the gate of Qingfeng Courtyard. The guards at the gate recognized Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku. Naturally, they cupped their hands in greeting and hurriedly opened the gate. The two of them hadn't returned to Qingfeng Courtyard for a few months. When they entered the courtyard, they saw that the courtyard hadn't changed much. However, on a few big trees in the courtyard, there were a few clever and cute little spirit monkeys. They were playing happily. Ji Tianxing recognized those little spirit monkeys. When he went to Beast King Valley to pay a visit to the Beast King, he saw those cute little guys. Obviously, the Beast King brought these little spirit monkeys to Zhongzhou City when he returned to Beast King Valley this time. After a while, Ji Tianxing, Ji Ku, and Qianyu entered the main hall and saw the Beast King, whom they hadn't seen for a long time. The Beast King was dressed as usual. He was tall and thin, wearing a white robe. His eyes contained a calm and tranquil temperament. The two of them brought Qianyu into the main hall and bowed to the Beast King with a smile. Senior Beast King, long time no see. Senior Beast King, we're here to visit you. The Beast King quickly got up and walked in front of the two of them. He said with a smile, we haven't seen each other for a few months. Seeing that you're safe and sound and that your strength has improved, this old man is relieved. The two of them exchanged a few pleasantries and sat down. They sat down and chatted while drinking tea. The Beast King stroked his beard and looked at Ji Tianxing with sparkling eyes. He said with a heart full of gratification, Tianxing, in the past few months, this old man has heard many of your deeds in Tianjin region. I didn't expect that in just a few months, you'd grow so quickly. This old man thought that after you entered the monarch mansion, you'd have to cultivate in peace for a year or two before you could stand out. I didn't expect that your name would shake the world so quickly. You've become a peerless genius admired by all the warriors in the world, and even became the Tianjin region lord. You don't know how shocked and proud this old man was when I heard the news. That old fogey Chu Tian is really lucky to have such an outstanding disciple like you. If this old man could meet such an outstanding genius disciple like you, I'd wake up laughing even in my dreams. It had been 2 to 3 months since Ji Tianxing had become the territorial lord of the Tianjin region. Chapter 662. The Beast King praised Ji Tianxing generously for the legend and miracle that he had created. However, after he calmed down, he frowned and revealed a worried expression. Tianxing, although you are now a world-renowned peerless genius and have also become the Tianjin region lord. However, you killed Duanmu Yulong, so the Duanmu family will not let you off. That Duanmu family is one of the 3 ancient families. Although you are the Tianjin region lord, you do not have your own power and background. I am really worried that if the Duanmu family uses despicable methods to take revenge on you, you will not be able to deal with it. Seeing the Beast King's worried expression, Ji Tianxing hurriedly nodded and said, Senior Beast King, you are right. The Duanmu family is already secretly dealing with me. However, no matter how powerful the Duanmu family is, I will not sit and wait for death. Coincidentally, I have encountered a troublesome matter, so I specially came here today to ask for your advice. The Beast King instantly raised his eyebrows and asked, Oh? What is it? Nephew, please tell me directly. I will do my best to help. Ji Tianxing explained his plan and asked the Beast King about the heavenly wind firebird. When the Beast King heard that he wanted to destroy the Duanmu family's herb garden, his face was filled with shock and disbelief. Tianxing, you actually want to destroy the Duanmu family's herb garden? That is something that countless powers want to do but do not dare to do. Ji Tianxing nodded and said, That's right. I want to do what others do not dare to do. Only by doing what others cannot do can I heavily injure the Duanmu family. Senior Beast King, do you know about the heavenly wind fire bird that guards the herb garden? Is there any way to deal with it? The Beast King frowned and said with a grave expression, I naturally know about the heavenly wind fire bird, this ancient beast. According to legends, the heavenly wind firebird is a beast born from the union of the divine bird vermilion bird and the spiritual beast green bird. The heavenly wind firebird is a noble bloodline among the spiritual beasts and birds. It has an extremely high status and prestige. They live on volcanoes that are thousands of feet high and usually build their nests near the crater of the volcano. Normally, they would devour the power of heavenly flames and astral winds. Every time the volcano erupted, they would also absorb a large amount of earth flame essence. So, the firebird of the heavens and earth is most adept at controlling the spirit flames of the heavens and the earth and strong winds. A single flap of its wings is capable of sweeping up monstrous flames that incinerate everything. Speaking of the firebird of heavenly wind, the Beast King's words were clear and logical. Clearly, he was no stranger to this ancient beast. The heavenly wind firebird is extremely rare. Since the ancient times, it has disappeared without a trace and has almost never appeared again. There were probably only a few heavenly wind firebirds left in the world. I didn't think that the Duanmu family actually possessed a skywind firebird. Truly inconceivable. The Beast King's tone was somewhat astonished. After muttering to himself for a moment, he said with a serious expression, The Duanmu family's heavenly wind firebird has actually reached the half-step spirit refinement stage. Even if this old man were to make a move personally, I'm afraid I would still be powerless. Even if I used all my means, I still wouldn't be able to subdue it. Hearing his words, Ji Tianxing frowned, and a worried look appeared in his eyes. He thought to himself, even with the Beast King's experience and means, he still can't deal with that heavenly wind fire bird. Looks like destroying the Duanmu family's herb garden is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Ji Tianxing's mood was downcast. Unwilling to give up, he asked the Beast King, Senior Beast King, is there really no way to deal with that heavenly wind fire bird? The Beast King frowned and pondered for a moment before replying in a low voice, It's not that there's no way at all. However, the method that this old man has thought of is truly too difficult to achieve. There's no need to mention it. A look of hope appeared in Ji Tianxing's eyes. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, No, Senior Beast King, please tell me. Perhaps I have a chance to realize your method? The Beast King thought for a moment before nodding and saying, All right, then this old man will speak frankly. Everything in the world has a spirit, and they all reinforce and subdue each other, just like the power of the 5 elements. No matter if it's demon beasts, spirit beasts, or strange beasts, as long as they don't jump out of the 5 elements, they have to abide by the principle of mutual reinforcement and subtraction. No matter how powerful a strange beast is, it has its natural nemesis and natural enemy. In the ancient legends, although the heavenly wind firebird is incomparably powerful, it's an ancient strange beast second only to a divine beast. However, the heavenly wind firebird also has its natural enemy. Its natural enemy is the ice dragon rhinoceros. Hearing this, Ji Tianxing was stunned for a moment. Jiku's face was also full of astonishment. He subconsciously asked, Senior Beast King, don't tell me that your method is to let us find an ice dragon rhinoceros to deal with the heavenly wind fire bird? The Beast King couldn't help but laugh. He waved his hand and explained, Ku, you're mistaken. The ice dragon rhinoceros is an ancient strange beast born from the union of the frost divine dragon and the heaven-shaking rhinoceros. It's already on the verge of extinction. How can we find it? The method that this old man has thought of is to use a Dharma treasure called the ice dragon hammer. It can restrain the heavenly wind fire bird. Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku were enlightened. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. Ice dragon hammer? Is it a soul-grade Dharma treasure? Where is this Dharma treasure now? How can we get it? The Beast King explained patiently, the ice dragon hammer is indeed a soul-grade Dharma treasure. It's also one of the demon clan's most treasured Dharma treasures. It's said that it was refined from the skull of an ice dragon rhinoceros by an ancient demon clan almighty after killing it. That skull is the hardest bone in the entire body of the ice dragon rhinoceros, and the end is connected to the rhinoceros horn. Therefore, the shape of that skull looks like a huge hammer. The ice dragon hammer contains the power of the ice dragon rhinoceros and can release endless heavenly ice cold air and thousand-year-old cold wind. It's just right to restrain the power of the heavenly wind firebird. It's a pity that the ice dragon hammer is regarded as a treasure by the demon clan. It hasn't appeared for more than 100 years. How can you obtain it? Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku instantly understood. No wonder the Beast King said that this method couldn't be realized. It was better not to mention it. Since the ice dragon hammer was a treasure of the demon clan, it must be strictly protected. They didn't have any connections or friendship with the demon clan. It was impossible for them to borrow it, much less snatch the ice dragon hammer. Even if the Beast King told them this method, it would be useless. Ji Tianxing was silent for a while before he cupped his hands and bowed. Thank you, Senior Beast King, for clearing my doubts. This junior can't thank you enough. The Beast King said earnestly, Tianxing, that ice dragon hammer is in the hands of the demon imperial court. It's impossible for you to obtain it. I suggest that you reconsider. Ji Tianxing nodded and said with a smile, Thank you, Senior, for your reminder. I will consider it carefully and think of a way. The Beast King only nodded slightly and didn't say anything else. Of course, he could see that Ji Tianxing had made up his mind to destroy the Duanmu clan's herb garden. Although Ji Tianxing didn't show it on the surface, he was actually thinking about how to obtain the ice dragon hammer. Next, Ji Tianxing asked the Beast King a few more questions. Chapter 663. Early in the morning, when the sun had just risen, Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku returned to the monarch mansion. After returning to Tianxing Palace, Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku returned to the secret chamber. Yan was recuperating when she sensed that they had entered the secret chamber. She quickly ended the recuperation and opened her eyes. She looked up at Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku. Seeing their heavy expressions, she asked with concern, Senior Brother Tianxing, have you asked Senior Beast King? What's the situation? Ji Tianxing nodded and repeated the Beast King's words. After hearing this, Yen's eyes flashed and she said subconsciously, Ice Dragon Hammer? The Demon Clan's treasure? Senior Brother Tianxing, isn't Prince Kunwu the Demon Clan's prince? If you want to use the Ice Dragon Hammer to deal with the Heavenly Wind Fiery Bird, you can ask Kunwu for help. Ji Tianxing shook his head and said with a smile, Yen, I've already thought of this method on the way back. However, Kunwu and we can only be considered acquaintances. We're not even good friends. The Ice Dragon Hammer is stored in the Demon Clan's imperial court. It's the Demon Clan's treasure. How can Kunwu lend it to us? Moreover, even if Kunwu is willing to lend it to us, he may not be able to make the decision. Yen's face stiffened and she pouted. All right, based on our relationship with him, there's no reason for him to help us. Everyone was silent and the secret chamber fell into silence. Ji Ku stood silently at the side. Seeing Ji Tianxing frowning and worried, she couldn't help but feel worried and anxious. In the past few months, Ji Tianxing had risen rapidly and become a world-renowned peerless genius. However, in the process, he had also encountered all kinds of troubles and dangers. Ji-ku's heart clenched as she watched him repeatedly encounter danger. Every time he encountered trouble, he had to rack his brains to think of a way to deal with it. Unfortunately, her strength was low and she could not help Ji Tianxing, so she could only be anxious. She felt more and more useless, like a burden. Other than bringing him trouble, she couldn't help him at all. The most helpless thing was that she could do nothing but feel heartache and blame herself. Now that she saw Ji Tianxing worrying about the ice dragon hammer, she secretly made up her mind that no matter what, she would help him solve this problem. At this time, Ji Tianxing saw that the atmosphere was a little gloomy, so he smiled and said, "Well, I will think of a way to solve this matter. You don't have to worry about it. Yen, you should focus on recuperating from your injuries. Ku, you should go back and rest too." Ji-ku nodded and said goodbye to Ji Tianxing and Yen. He then turned and walked out of the secret room. However, she didn't return to her residence to rest. Instead, she quietly left Tianxing Palace and rushed to Kunwu Palace alone. 2 hours later, Ji-ku arrived at the peak of the Kunwu mountain range and arrived at the gate of Kunwu Palace. The 2 monster clan guards at the gate stopped her with expressionless faces and asked her why she had come. Ji-ku hesitated for a moment before she calmly said, "Please report to Kunwu Prince that Ji-ku has come to visit and has something important to discuss with him." One of the demon clan guards nodded and said in a cold tone, "Wait here. I will go and report to His Highness now." After saying that, the demon clan guard turned and entered Kunwu Palace to report the news. Ji-ku stood under the towering gate and lowered her head to look at the ground under her feet. She felt a little uneasy, although she didn't want to have any contact with Kunwu. Previously, Kunwu had taken the initiative to look for her every time they met. But this time, in order to help Ji Tianxing, she mustered up her courage and took the initiative to look for Kunwu. Unknowingly, a quarter of an hour passed. The demon clan guard returned to the gate and saluted Ji-ku with cupped fists. "Miss Ji-ku, His Highness invites you. Please follow me." Ji-ku secretly heaved a sigh of relief when she heard that Kunwu was willing to meet her. She followed the demon clan guard into Kunwu Palace and walked into the depths of the palace. She followed the demon clan guard through 2 courtyards and 2 palaces. She entered the main hall of Kunwu Palace and arrived at the door of Kunwu's study. The demon clan guard led her to the door and turned to leave. She pushed open the door of the study and stepped into the study. This was a spacious and bright study. It was surrounded by antique bookshelves filled with thousands of books. There was a large table near the window. On it were several stacks of books, a few stacks of documents and letters, and a bronze incense burner. A wisp of light blue smoke floated in the burner, emitting a calming and refreshing sandalwood fragrance. Kunwu, who was wearing a fox fur coat, was sitting behind the table. He held a golden brush in his hand and was writing something with a serious expression. After Ji-ku smelled the faint fragrance, her mind calmed down and she became much calmer. She walked to the front of the large table and looked at Kunwu, who was writing with his head lowered. She bowed slightly and said, "Ji-ku greets His Highness Kunwu." Kunwu returned to his senses and hurriedly put down the brush and paper. He raised his head and looked at her. A gentle smile appeared on his handsome and resolute face. He said gently, "Cuckoo, there's no need to be so courteous with me. Quickly sit down and talk." As he spoke, he nodded and indicated for Ji-ku to sit down. He also had the guard at the door of the study bring Ji-ku a cup of spiritual tea. After Ji-ku sat down, he smiled and asked, "Cuckoo, why did you take the initiative to look for me today? Is there something you need my help with?" Ji-ku nodded and stood up. She said seriously, "His Highness Kunwu, you promised me before that if I came to you with any difficulties, you would do your best to help me. I wonder if Your Highness Kunwu's words from back then still count?" Kunwu was stunned for a moment, but he nodded without hesitation. He said in a serious tone, "Cuckoo, I naturally keep my promise to you. Tell me, what do you need my help with this time?" Seeing that Kunwu was so straightforward, Ji-ku no longer hesitated. She said with a serious expression, "His Highness Kunwu, I heard that the demon race has a Dharma treasure called the Ice Dragon Hammer. I would like to ask His Highness Kunwu to lend me the Ice Dragon Hammer." Rest assured, Your Highness, I will only borrow it for a few days. After I'm done with it, I will definitely return it to you. Jiku only said that she wanted to borrow the ice dragon hammer, but she didn't mention why she wanted to borrow it. She also didn't explain what she wanted to do with it. After Kunwu heard this, he only raised his eyebrows. He didn't ask her why she wanted to borrow the ice dragon hammer. He looked at Jiku with a deep gaze and said in a serious tone, "Cuckoo, as long as you ask for it, I will definitely do my best to help you. I will definitely help you with this. However, the ice dragon hammer is my race's treasure. It is stored in the imperial court and can't be used easily. Moreover, I can't make the decision on this matter. I have to report it to His Majesty the Demon King." Chapter 664. After hearing Kunwu's words, Jiku's eyes instantly dimmed. Although she had already expected this result. The ice dragon hammer was the demon clan's most precious treasure. How could she borrow it just because she wanted to? However, before she came to Kunwu Palace, she still had a glimmer of hope in her heart. Now that she heard Kunwu's reply, the glimmer of hope in her heart was instantly shattered, and her heart was filled with a deep sense of loss. She stood there dejectedly and muttered in her heart, "Am I really so useless that I can't help Big Brother Tianxing no matter what? Big Brother Tianxing has done so much for me, and even risked his life to protect me. However, I can't do anything when he's in trouble and danger. I can't help him at all." Jiku pursed her lips, and a determined look flashed across her eyes. Then she gritted her teeth and made up her mind. She knelt down in front of Kunwu and pleaded, "Your Highness Kunwu, you're a noble prince, the heir to the demon clan's imperial court, and the future demon emperor. I know that as long as you're willing to help me, you'll have a way to persuade the demon emperor. I'll definitely be able to borrow the ice dragon hammer, right? Cuckoo, please help me this time. I only need to borrow the ice dragon hammer for a few days. I beg you to help me." Kunwu clearly didn't expect Jiku to kneel down and beg him. He hurriedly stood up and reached out to help Jiku up. He sighed with a complicated expression. "Cuckoo, why do you have to do this?" Jiku looked at him with a burning gaze, and her eyes revealed a deep sense of hope. She asked, "Your Highness Kunwu, you're willing to help me, right?" Kunwu nodded slightly and said in a serious tone, "Cuckoo, it's not that there's no way, but it requires your cooperation." When Jiku heard that there was a way, she immediately revealed a trace of joy and nodded without hesitation. "Your Highness Kunwu, as long as you can help me borrow the ice dragon hammer, I'm willing to cooperate no matter what you want me to do." Kunwu was startled again when he heard this. He chuckled and asked, "Cuckoo, you silly girl. How can you agree so hastily? What if my request is disadvantageous to you? Aren't you afraid of getting hurt?" Jiku was silent and didn't speak, but she looked at him with a firm gaze, which contained a touch of trust. Kunwu understood her eyes and felt warm in his heart. He reminded her in a serious tone, "Cuckoo, you have to remember, in the future, except for me and the people closest to you, if someone else says such words, you must not agree easily. You must consider it carefully." Jiku nodded and said solemnly, "Thank you for your reminder, Your Highness. Ku will remember it." Only then did Kunwu return to her rattan chair. She smiled and said, "All right, you don't have to be so nervous. In fact, what I need you to do is very simple. You don't need to take any risks, and you don't need to pay any price. You just need to make a trip back to the demon race with me to confirm one thing." Jiku revealed a puzzled expression and asked subconsciously, "Your Highness, what did you confirm?" Kunwu chuckled and shook his head, "I can't tell you about this for the time being. After you return to the demon clan with me, you will naturally understand. Also, there's something I have to tell you in advance. Even if you do as I ask, I can't guarantee that you will be able to borrow the ice dragon hammer. It's just that there's a higher chance of success." Jiku frowned and thought for a moment before nodding in agreement. Although she might not be able to borrow the ice dragon hammer, as long as there was a chance of success, she had to try. She didn't want to be a useless burden that would only burden Ji Tianxing and not be able to help him. "Your Highness Kunwu, I promise you. When do you plan to bring me back to the demon race?" Kunwu smiled and nodded. "I've been very free recently and have nothing to do. I can return to the demon race at any time. You can go back and prepare first. When you are ready, come and find me. Ji-ku immediately agreed and said seriously, all right, I will arrange it as soon as possible. Then, she bowed to Kun-woo and left the study room. Kun-woo sat alone in the study room and watched her leave. Her lips curled into a smile as she muttered softly, that's great. I've been waiting for this day. Cuckoo finally believes in me and is willing to return to the demon race with me. The answer will be revealed soon. As he spoke, his eyes revealed a look of strong anticipation. After Ji-ku left Kun-woo Palace, she quietly returned to Tianqing Palace. After returning to her residence, she simply packed her things and prepared her luggage. She asked the palace maids and learned that Ji Tianqing was resting in a secret room. Then she waited patiently for an entire day. The next morning she rushed to Ji Tianqing's residence. Ji Tianqing had just finished his meditation when he saw her enter the room. She seemed to have something on her mind. Thus, he asked in a concerned tone, Cuckoo, why did you come to find me so early in the morning? Is there something wrong? Ji-ku nodded and said, Big brother Tianqing, I'm here today to bid you farewell. I might have to leave for a long time. You're leaving the imperial residence? Ji Tianqing immediately frowned and asked worriedly, Cuckoo, other than the imperial residence which is still considered safe, it's very dangerous outside. Why do you want to leave at this time? Did something happen? Ji-ku was silent for a moment and thought to herself. During this period of time, Big Brother Tianqing has been focused on dealing with the Duanmu family. He's already mentally and physically exhausted. I can't tell Big Brother Tianqing the truth. Otherwise, he'll be worried about me and it'll only add to his troubles. Thinking of this, she lied and said to Ji Tianqing, Big Brother Tianqing, I received a letter from Qingyun Kingdom saying that Imperial Father is seriously ill and is in a critical condition. I want to return to Qingyun Kingdom to visit Imperial Father. Ji Tianqing immediately frowned and said in a deep voice, Your Imperial Father is seriously ill. You should go back and visit him. However, the journey from Zhongzhou City to Qingyun Kingdom is too long. I'm worried about you going back alone. The Duanmu family must be watching our every move and they'll definitely find an opportunity to make a move on you. Cuckoo, I'll accompany you back to Qingyun Kingdom in case you meet with danger like Yen. Hearing his words, Ji-ku quickly waved her hand and rejected him. Her tone was a little anxious as she said, No, no, no. Big Brother Tianqing, I'll go back alone. I don't need you to accompany me. It'll take at least 2 months to return to Qingyun Kingdom from Zhongzhou City. You have a heavy responsibility now and you still have to work hard to improve your strength. How can you waste your time on this matter? All in all, I'll go back alone. You can focus on your own matters. Ji Tianqing frowned slightly and looked at her with a deep gaze. Even though Ji-ku tried her best to hide her true thoughts, she was still pure and kind. She wasn't good at lying and deceiving others. Ji Tianqing could tell at a glance that she wasn't telling the truth and was hiding something. Chapter 665. Although Ji Tianqing could tell that Ji-ku was not telling the truth, he knew that there was something wrong with her. If she wanted to hide her true thoughts, Ji Tianqing would not force her to explain. After Ji-ku bid farewell to him and left Tianqing Palace, he quietly followed Ji-ku. He decided to see for himself what Ji-ku was hiding and what she wanted to do. He saw that after Ji-ku left Tianqing Palace, she did not head towards the exit of the emperor residence. Instead, she rushed towards the depths of the mountains. He followed Ji-ku all the way into the depths of the mountains and saw Ji-ku ascending Kunwu mountain range and entering Kunwu Palace. Ji Tianqing stayed outside Kunwu Palace and watched as Ji-ku entered Kunwu Palace. He instantly frowned in confusion. He also did not know why Ji-ku entered Kunwu Palace. After waiting patiently for an hour, he saw Ji-ku and a young man walking out side by side. That young man was wearing a white fox fur coat. He was tall and sturdy with a handsome face. He was Emperor Kunwu. After both of them left Kunwu Palace, they rode on a spiritual bird and flew towards the exit of the emperor residence. Seeing this, Ji Tianqing frowned and thought to himself, why is Cuckoo looking for Kunwu? Where is she going with Kunwu? By now, he could already confirm that Ji-ku was lying. Ji-ku was definitely not returning to Qingyun Kingdom. He secretly followed Ji-ku and Kun-woo. While secretly observing, he silently guessed Ji-ku's intentions. Ku is so close to Kun-woo and deliberately hid it from me. What is she trying to do? Could it be she deliberately got close to Kun-woo to help me borrow the ice dragon hammer? Ji Tianxing roughly guessed Ji-ku's motive and became even more worried. The ice dragon hammer is the demon clan's treasure. Even if Kun-woo is the demon clan's prince, he will not lend it to her just like that. Koku must have agreed to Kun-woo's conditions. This silly girl. She's so naive and doesn't even have the slightest bit of vigilance. She'll definitely suffer. Thinking of this, Ji Tianxing quickly sped up and streaked across the sky like a shooting star. He caught up with Kun-woo's flying spirit beast. Shwa! With a flash of golden light, Ji Tianxing rushed in front of the flying spiritual birds, blocking Kun-woo and Ji-ku. Kun-woo and Ji-ku stood on the back of the flying spirit bird and were discussing something in a low voice. Ji Tianxing's sudden appearance caught Kun-woo and Ji-ku by surprise. Kun-woo hurriedly stopped the spiritual bird and floated in the sky 100 meters away from Ji Tianxing. Ji-ku's expression changed when he saw Ji Tianxing. It was as if she had been caught doing something wrong. Her gaze was a little evasive, not daring to look directly at Ji Tianxing. Shwa! Ji Tianxing's figure flashed across 100 meters and landed on the back of the flying spirit bird. He stood in front of Kun-woo and Ji-ku. He ignored Kun-woo and fixed his eyes on Ji-ku. With a complicated tone, he asked, "Ku-ku, where are you going behind my back with Kun-woo? Why did you lie to me and say that you're going back to Qingyun Kingdom? Why didn't you tell me the truth?" "Brother Tianxing, don't be angry." Ji-ku's fingers were intertwined. She lowered her head with an ugly expression, not knowing how to explain. Seeing this scene, Kun-woo's eyes flashed with a look of realization. She suddenly understood something. He glanced at Ji-ku and looked at Ji Tianxing. He chuckled and said, "It seems that I'm right. Koku did this to help you." Ji Tianxing frowned and quickly stood in front of Ji-ku. He stared coldly at Kun-woo and asked in a deep voice, "Kun-woo, what are you trying to do? Where are you taking Koku?" Kun-woo smiled and said calmly, "Ji Tianxing, no matter what you're guessing, I'm upright and upright. There's nothing I can't say. I might as well tell you the truth. I'm taking Ji-ku back to the demon race." Ji Tianxing instantly looked doubtful and vigilant. He frowned and asked, "Back to the demon race? Why are you taking Koku back to the demon race?" Kun-woo shook her head and said expressionlessly, "I'm sorry, this is our business. I have no comment." Ji Tianxing narrowed his eyes and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He said coldly, "Kun-woo, Koku has a pure heart. You'd better not play any tricks on her. Otherwise I'll—" Before he could finish, Ji-ku quickly grabbed his arm and said in a sincere tone, "Brother Tianxing, Her Highness Kun-woo doesn't seem like a bad person. She didn't do anything bad to me. Don't worry, I'll be fine." Ji Tianxing turned his head and looked at Ji-ku beside him. He said firmly, "Ku, you trust others too easily. No matter what, I won't let you go back to the demon race with him." Ji-ku immediately looked anxious and shook her head. "Brother Tianxing, this is our only chance. Please believe in Kun-woo and believe in me this once, okay?" Ji Tianxing stared into her eyes and asked in a serious tone, "Ku, tell me the truth. Did you promise Kun-woo to go back to the demon race with him to help me borrow the ice dragon hammer?" Ji-ku pursed her lips. After a moment of silence, she nodded silently. Ji Tianxing stretched out his hands and pressed on her shoulders. He persuaded her patiently, "Ku, I know you want to help me borrow the ice dragon hammer and help me solve my problem. However, I won't let you take the risk and go to an unfamiliar demon race alone. You don't have to worry about the ice dragon hammer. I'll think of another way." Ji-ku's eyes became more and more anxious. She said in a pleading tone, "Brother Tianxing, please let me help you this once, okay? I don't want to see you anxious and worried about this." Kun-woo stood at the side and watched the two of them comfort each other. However, he couldn't come to a conclusion. Therefore, he looked at Ji Tianxing with a serious expression and said, "Ji Tianxing, although you don't believe in me, I have no ill intentions towards Koku. I won't hurt her. If you're really worried about Cuckoo, you can come with us to the demon race's imperial court. Hearing Kuan Wu's words, Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku immediately stopped talking. Ji Tianxing took a deep look at Kuan Wu, then nodded without hesitation. Okay, I'll go with you to the demon race. I can only be at ease if I'm by Cuckoo's side. Kuan Wu nodded slightly and said calmly, Ji Tianxing, I have something to tell you in advance. You're not a member of my race. After going to our demon race, you can't interfere with our demon race's matters. Ji Tianxing nodded and said, Of course I understand the rules. However, it's a long journey from here to the demon race's imperial court. A round trip will take at least 10 days to half a month. Wait for me here for a moment. I have to go back to Tianxing Palace to make some arrangements before I can go with you. Kuan Wu waved his hand and said with a smile, There's no need to go through so much trouble. I have a magic treasure called the Mother-Child Soaring Shuttle. It can go back and forth between Zhongzhou and the imperial court in a day. Chapter 666. Although Kuan Wu had only briefly explained the effects of the Mother-Child Soaring Shuttle. However, Ji Tianxing and Ji Ke both revealed astonished expressions. It would take at least half a month to travel from Central State to the imperial court of the monster race. The two of them didn't dare to believe that there was such a miraculous magic treasure like the Mother-Child Soaring Shuttle that could travel back and forth in a single day. This was simply a miracle. Since the Mother-Child Soaring Shuttle had the ability to travel through space, Ji Tianxing didn't have any misgivings and didn't need to return to Tianxing Palace to make arrangements. He followed Kuan Wu and Ji Ku out of the monarch mansion and returned to Central State City. The spirit birds carried them through Central State City and flew to the Star Moon Mountain in the western outskirts. At the peak of the Star Moon Mountain stood a magnificent manor with a radius of 10 miles. It was Kuan Wu's temporary residence, the Star Moon Manor. There were several magnificent palaces in the manor, as well as rows upon rows of buildings and magnificent pavilions. Kuan Wu brought Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku into the Star Moon Manor and walked towards the depths of the manor. The three of them met many guards and maids along the way. Everyone bowed and paid their respects to them. After a while, Kuan Wu brought Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku into the secret room where he usually cultivated in seclusion. This secret room was very spacious and the construction was quite exquisite and luxurious. It was unknown how many precious gems and materials were used. The secret room was filled with rich spiritual energy and was protected by a powerful formation. Wait a moment. This sovereign will use the Mother-Child Soaring Shuttle to open the space passage. Kuan Wu warned Ji Tianxing and Ji Ke before taking out the Mother-Child Soaring Shuttle from his spatial ring. This magic treasure was a palm-sized silver shuttle. The two ends were tapered and the middle was like a cylinder. The surface of the shuttle was covered with simple diamond-shaped patterns. It flickered with a faint white light and emitted a mysterious and vast aura. Ji Tianxing could clearly sense that the grade and power of this magic treasure was not inferior to his seal of mountains and rivers. The silver shuttle quietly floated in the air, motionless. Kuan Wu waved his palms and sent out waves of majestic true essence into the silver shuttle. As he used the secret technique, the silver shuttle immediately spun and emitted a dazzling white light. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The Mother-Child Soaring Shuttle's speed became faster and faster and the white light became more and more dazzling, illuminating the entire secret room. About a quarter of an hour later, the dazzling white light condensed into a 3-meter-tall white light door, standing in the middle of the secret room. Kuan Wu finished casting the spell and slowly withdrew his palms. He said with a calm expression, "All right, we can go now." Surprise flashed through Ji Tianxing's eyes. He couldn't help but ask, "You're done so quickly? Is this portal really connected to the monstrous imperial court?" Kuan Wu saw that he and Ji Ku were in disbelief, so he explained with a smile, "That's right. Every time I go back and forth between the imperial court and the central state, I use this portal. The Mother-Child Soaring Shuttle is divided into the Sun Shuttle and the Mother Shuttle. The one in my hand is the Sun Shuttle, and the Mother Shuttle is fixed in my clan's imperial court, forming a teleportation array. After I use the Sun Shuttle to open the portal, I can open a space passage to the Mother Shuttle. No matter where the sun shuttle is on the continent, as long as I open the portal, I can quickly return to my clan's imperial court. When we leave the demon imperial court, we just need to cross the mother shuttle's teleportation array to return here. After listening to Kun Wu's explanation, Ji Tianxing immediately understood. He nodded and praised sincerely. It's really an extraordinary magic treasure. It's unbelievable. Kun Wu smiled and did not say anything. Then he stepped into the portal first. Swoosh. The portal flashed with white light and instantly swallowed Kun Wu's figure. Ji Tianxing and Ji Ke did not hesitate and stepped into the portal. Swoosh swoosh. The two only felt the scene in front of them suddenly change. The next moment, they appeared on an empty high platform. This high platform was 1,000 feet above the ground and was located in the thick white clouds. It was surrounded by a white sea of clouds. The ground of the high platform was paved with dark green boulders and inlaid with some silver crystals. Countless ancient patterns and array patterns were engraved on it. The entire high platform was a huge teleportation array. In the middle of the high platform stood a huge teleportation gate that was 100 feet tall. It was condensed from white light. Ji Tianxing stared at the teleportation gate for a moment and guessed that it was the teleportation gate formed by the mother shuttle. And this high platform was definitely in the demon imperial court. He looked around and saw that in the four corners of the high platform, there were dozens of demon clan guards wearing armor and holding spears and halberds. In the sea of clouds around the high platform, one could vaguely see splendid palaces and rows upon rows of houses. Those palaces and houses were built beautifully and luxuriously. They also contained the unique charm of the demon clan. In the sea of clouds not far away, groups of winged men guards could be faintly seen flying past, patrolling and cruising. It was early in the morning. Golden sunlight shone down from the sky and reflected in the sea of clouds, causing the sea of clouds and palaces to shine with multicolored light. It was like a fairyland. It was the first time Ji Tianxing and Ji Ke had come to the demon clan. The two of them looked at the scene around them and felt that it was like a dream. It was amazing. At this moment, Kun Wu looked at the two of them and said with a calm expression, "Welcome to the Demon Imperial Court. This is the teleportation array built by the sky-soaring mother shuttle. It's called the Sky-Soaring Tower. When we return to Zhongzhou, we will leave from here. Now, please follow me into the Imperial Court." With that, Kun Wu led the two of them away from the high platform and walked down the Sky-Soaring Tower. When the demon clan guards around the Sky-Soaring Tower saw Kun Wu, they immediately bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Your Highness Kun Wu." Kun Wu's expression was indifferent, and his body exuded a majestic aura. He led Ji Tianxing and Ji Ke into the imperial court. It was only now that Ji Tianxing saw clearly that the layout and location of the demon imperial court was very similar to the human imperial court. The demon imperial court was also built on a towering mountain peak that was tens of thousands of feet high. It covered an area of more than 100 miles. There were more than 20 palaces and thousands of houses and houses. Those palaces and houses were arranged according to a special array. They could gather the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and resonate with the stars in the sky, accumulating strong luck for the demon clan. The difference between the two was that the palaces and houses of the demon imperial court were mostly in the style of hexagonal cornices. They were painted with colorful patterns and patterns. On both sides of every avenue in the imperial court, there would be statues erected one after another. Chapter 667. Ji Tianxing and Ji Ke were in the demon imperial court. They could feel the ancient and majestic aura as well as the roughness and wildness unique to the demon race. The two of them followed Kun Wu into the depths of the imperial court, admiring the scenery as they walked. 15 minutes later, Kun Wu led the two of them into the Eastern Palace and arranged a place for them to stay for the time being. The Eastern Palace was Kun Wu's bedroom and also the residence of the Crown Prince. Although the demon race had several demon emperors, the one in charge of the imperial court was the famous Heavenly Net Demon Emperor. Kun Wu was the eldest son of the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and also the heir to the demon imperial court. His status was equivalent to that of the Emperor of the Human Imperial Court. Furthermore, the heavenly net demon emperor only married an empress and didn't take in many concubines. He didn't have many children like the human imperial emperors. He only had one prince, Kuan-Wu. As long as there were no accidents, Kuan-Wu would inherit the heavenly net demon emperor's throne many years later and control the demon imperial court. Therefore, Kuan-Wu's status in the demon race was extremely high and he was deeply respected by all the demon race in the imperial court. As soon as he returned to the Eastern Palace, many demon race generals and experts rushed to the Eastern Palace for an audience. Kuan-Wu exchanged a few pleasantries with the generals and experts before sending them away. After arranging accommodations for Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku, he said to the two of them, "Stay here first. This monarch has just returned to the imperial court, so I'm going to pay my respects to the demon emperor and mother. If the demon emperor isn't in seclusion, I will report this matter to him and ask him to make a decision. When the time comes, I will bring you to meet the demon emperor." Ji Tianxing and Ji Kun nodded in agreement and returned to their rooms to rest. Kuan-Wu left the Eastern Palace and rushed to the imperial court's main hall. Coincidentally, the demon emperor wasn't in seclusion. He was currently in the main hall discussing important matters with the demon race's officials and generals. The heavenly net demon emperor wore a golden-scaled robe and a limitless golden crown. He sat on the demon emperor's throne with a posture of a tiger crouching and dragon coiling. He was tall and his face was resolute and dignified. His deep eyes contained a domineering aura that looked down on the world. His appearance was 80% similar to Kuan-Wu's. To be exact, Kuan-Wu's handsome appearance was inherited from him. However, both father and son had different temperaments. Kuan-Wu was a flood dragon that flew out of the sea and into the sky. Its aura was fierce and overbearing, showing off its ability. On the other hand, the heavenly net demon emperor was a divine dragon that dominated the 9 heavens. He looked down on all living beings in the world and held millions of miles of land in his hands. His aura was even deeper and heavier, like the abyss and the sea. Kuan-Wu strode into the main hall with a majestic gait. He walked straight to the center of the main hall and greeted the demon emperor. "Greetings, your majesty. Your son pays his respects to your majesty." The demon emperor and the generals immediately stopped their discussion and looked at Kuan-Wu in unison. The officials and generals all smiled kindly and began to discuss in low voices. Isn't His Highness Kuan-Wu in the monarch mansion? Why are you back today? It's been a few months since we last met. Your Highness Kuan-Wu's aura has become even more tyrannical. It seems that your strength has also improved. His Highness Kuan-Wu is back at the right time. He might have a good suggestion for this matter. The heavenly net demon emperor stroked his beard and smiled with relief. He nodded slightly and said, "Kuan-Wu, you may rise. Why did you suddenly return to the imperial court today instead of cultivating in the monarch mansion?" Kuan-Wu cupped his fists and said respectfully, "Your Majesty, I have been investigating an extremely important matter. Recently, I finally found a clue and was about to find out the results. I hurriedly rushed back to report to your Majesty." When the heavenly net demon emperor heard this, he raised his eyebrows and revealed an interested expression. "What are you investigating?" Kuan-Wu was stunned. He looked at the officials and generals in the imperial court and cupped his fists. "Your Majesty, please allow me to report this matter to you later." The heavenly net demon emperor and the generals in the main hall immediately understood what Kuan-Wu meant. They knew that this matter was not suitable to be mentioned in public. Thus, the heavenly net demon emperor nodded and said seriously, "In that case, let's continue with the morning court and discuss how to deal with the ancient demon emperor and the demon race." The officials and generals continued to discuss how to deal with the ancient demon emperor and the restless demon race. Kuan-Wu stood among the officials and quietly listened to everyone's discussion. Soon, he understood the meaning of this morning court session. It turned out that the imperial court of the demon race had received news that the ancient demon emperor had returned to the northern desert. According to the information obtained by the imperial court, the ancient demon emperor was currently hiding in the northern desert to recuperate and recover his strength. Although the ancient demon emperor had not made any moves yet, based on the demon race's understanding of the demon race, They concluded that the ancient demon emperor would definitely go on a killing spree after recovering his strength. For the past 1,000 years, the demon race had been without a leader. They were like a pile of loose sand and did not amount to much. And the ancient demon emperor was the demon lord that all the demon race in the world bowed to. After he returned to the northern desert, all the demon race's morale was boosted. Almost all the demon race thought that the ancient demon emperor's return to the northern desert meant that the demon race was about to rise again. The various demon tribes had been suppressed for thousands of years and finally could not hold back their bloodlust and killing. They became restless and began to harass the western wilderness border frequently. In the past few months, more than 10 demon race cities at the western wilderness border had been attacked and killed by the demon tribes. Hundreds of demon race citizens in villages and towns were cruelly massacred by the demon race. Many mines, herb gardens, beast gardens, and other cultivation resources were also crazily plundered by the demon tribes. The flames of war came frequently from the western wilderness border. The various demon race leaders all advised the imperial court to send reinforcements to defend against the demon race's attacks. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor gathered the officials and generals today to discuss how to deal with the demon race's attacks and prevent the ancient demon emperor from starting a war after he recovered his strength. Kuan Wu listened silently for an hour and realized that most of the generals and officials had the same idea as him. Since the demon race dared to invade the western wilderness and kill the demon race citizens, what was there to hesitate about? Even if the demon race had to use up all their manpower and resources, they had to fight to the death against the demon race army. Even if the 1 billion demon race citizens died in battle and blood dyed the mountains and rivers, the demon race would not back down. Since ancient times, the demon race had been the most oppressed and harmed by the demon race. They had an irreconcilable blood feud with the demon race that could not be resolved. Many of the generals were fired up and filled with fighting spirit. They all requested the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor to lead the troops to protect the western wilderness border. Seeing this, Kuan Wu was relieved and did not say anything. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor thought deeply and issued a series of orders. He sent out 12 brave and fierce generals to lead the troops to the border to defend the demon race. After 2 hours, the morning assembly finally ended. Chapter 668. The Heavenly Net Palace was the bedroom of the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and the Demon Empress. The palace was grand and majestic. The scenery in the palace was pleasant and filled with spirit energy. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor brought Kun Wu into the Heavenly Net Palace and said, "Kun Wu, you're back today. You haven't paid your respects to your mother yet, right?" Kun Wu followed behind the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and replied respectfully, "Father, I've just returned to the imperial court and haven't paid my respects to my mother yet. It just so happens that I have something important to tell Imperial Mother as well." The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor nodded and said earnestly, "Kun Wu, now that the ancient Demon Emperor has returned to the northern desert, I'm afraid he'll bring chaos to the world soon. Our demon race is about to face the invasion of the demon army, and there will be bloodshed in the future. You must cultivate hard in the Emperor Mansion and strive to reach the soul refinement realm as soon as possible. Only then can I be at ease." Kun Wu understood the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's worries and said solemnly, "Father, don't worry. I won't let you down." The father and son chatted as they walked. Soon, they entered the depths of the Heavenly Net Palace and came to a spacious and bright hall. After the two of them took their seats, an obedient and witty demon clan maid came forward to greet them and serve them tea and snacks. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor ordered the maid, "Go and invite the Demon Empress to the Demon Empress Palace. Tell her that Prince Kun Wu is back." The maid bowed and accepted the order. She hurriedly left to report the news. In the bedroom of the palace, there was a demonic woman of peerless beauty. She was sitting cross-legged on a large bed surrounded by gauze curtains. This demon lady in a moon-white dress looked to be in her 30s. She had lost her youthful temperament and exuded a graceful and noble aura. She had a slim figure and a beautiful face. She had long silver hair that reached her waist and a diamond-shaped silver mark on her forehead. Without a doubt, she was Kun Wu's mother, Demon Empress Lingxing. Lingxing Demon Empress was meditating and cultivating. Her palms were placed in front of her, and bright starlight flickered in her palms. Her entire body was surrounded by an invisible divine soul power. At this moment, a maid walked to the door, bowed respectfully, and reported softly, "Lady Spirit Star, His Majesty the Demon Emperor and His Highness Kunwu are waiting for you in the main hall." Lingxing Demon Empress immediately stopped her cultivation and opened a pair of bright eyes. Her silver eyes were filled with gentleness. "My son Kunwu is back." Spirit Star Demon Empress flicked the sleeves of her long dress and got off the bed. She walked out of the bedroom in a graceful and dignified manner and walked towards the grand hall with her maidservant. Empress 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 Press Empress Press Press Empress 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 Empress. Seeing Lingxing Demon Empress, he quickly stood up and bowed. He smiled and said, "Mother, I'm here to greet you." Lingxing Demon Empress revealed a kind and amiable look. She nodded and said, "Kunwu, you just came back a few months ago. Even if you miss mother and father, you can't delay your cultivation." Kunwu shook his head and explained with a smile, "Mother, I came back this time because I have something important to report to you and father." "What is it?" Lingxing Demon Empress revealed a curious and expectant look. Kunwu waved his hand and dismissed all the maids and guards in the hall. Lingxing Demon Empress was even more confused when she saw this. She couldn't help but ask, "Kunwu, what's so mysterious?" As she spoke, she walked to Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's side and sat down. She extended her slender hand and released starlight to massage Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's left shoulder. Back then, Heavenly Net Demon Emperor fought with the water race experts in the Eastern Seas sinkhole. He was severely injured and had a body full of hidden ailments. The hidden injury on his left shoulder had yet to recover. Lingxing Demon Empress cultivated her medical skills and had to heal Heavenly Net Demon Emperor every day to ease his pain. Heavenly Net Demon Emperor patted the back of her hand gently and held her hand. He indicated that she didn't need to heal today and wanted to hear what Kunwu had to say first. When there were no outsiders in the hall, Kunwu said in a low voice, "Father, Mother, when I was 7 years old, you left the imperial court and went to the Eastern Seas sinkhole. When you came back, Mother was pregnant. You told me that it was my unborn sister, the demon race's little princess. We were so happy back then. I often talked to Mother's belly, thinking that I could chat with my sister." Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and Lingxing Demon Empress faces changed when they heard Kunwu's words. Their eyes were filled with deep sorrow. Lingxing Demon Empress' body trembled. She asked anxiously, "Kunwu, is the important thing you want to report related to your sister?" "That's right." Kunwu nodded and said seriously, "When my sister was born, I was sleeping soundly in my room and didn't know what happened. When I woke up the next day, I saw that the palace was in a mess. Later on, I found out that my sister had gone missing. I know that father and mother have been searching for my sister all these years and have never given up. I have also been secretly looking for her whereabouts." Kunwu paused for a moment. A gratified smile appeared on his handsome and resolute face. "Heaven has taken pity on me. I finally found some clues and made some progress. A few months ago, on the day I returned to Central State City, I saw a human girl in the crowd. She made me feel very close to her and there was an invisible blood connection." Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and Lingxing Demon Empress were delighted. They looked at each other and saw the excitement and surprise in each other's eyes. Lingxing Demon Empress was stunned. She quickly asked, "Kunwu, is that girl your sister? But why is she a human?" Kunwu quickly explained, "Mother, that girl had yet to awaken her demon race bloodline, so she was in human form. However, I have been in contact with her for the past few months. She has also awakened her bloodline and is a descendant of our golden raccoon race. Although I am 80% sure that she is the sister that I have never met, I didn't tell her. But I didn't tell her about it. I only recently convinced her to return to the imperial court with me. As long as father uses the heaven mirror to drip blood on her, he will be able to determine if she is my sister." Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and Lingxing Demon Empress became more and more excited. It was as if the huge stone that had been pressing on their hearts for many years had finally disappeared. Lingxing Demon Empress' eyes were filled with tears. She asked anxiously, Kunwu, where is your sister? Quickly bring us to see her. Kunwu shook his head and said solemnly, Mother, that girl is called Ji-ku. She is now living in the Eastern Palace. I can bring her to see you immediately. However, she is willing to come back with me because I promised her that I would help her borrow my race's ice dragon hammer. I know that the ice dragon hammer is my race's treasure and can't be borrowed easily. Therefore, I didn't agree to her request immediately. Chapter 669. Kun Wu's way of speaking was very skillful. He was well aware of his father and mother's feelings. After his sister had gone missing, they were heartbroken and blamed themselves. Therefore, Kun Wu spoke of Ji-ku's background first, indicating that she might be his missing sister. When the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress were excited and could not wait to see Ji-ku, he then spoke of borrowing the Ice Dragon Hammer. This way, the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress would only want to see Ji-ku as soon as possible and would not refuse to borrow the Ice Dragon Hammer. In Kun Wu's subconscious mind, he really wanted to help Ji-ku borrow the Ice Dragon Hammer. Indeed, before he finished speaking, Spirit Star Demon Empress quickly said, Kun Wu, if she is really your sister, not to mention borrowing the Ice Dragon Hammer, what's wrong with giving it to her? In the eyes of Spirit Star Demon Empress, no matter how precious the Ice Dragon Hammer was, how could it be more important than her daughter? On the other hand, Heavenly Net Demon Emperor, who had not spoken, was more cautious in this matter and could still remain calm. He lightly squeezed Spirit Star Demon Empress' hand and said with a calm tone, Spirit Star, you don't have to be so absolute. Kun Wu also said that girl might be our daughter. We have to see her first and do a blood test before we can confirm her identity. Spirit Star Demon Empress turned to look at Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and frowned with anger. She said with a low voice, Husband, what is with your attitude? Kun Wu spent a lot of effort and finally found our daughter. Are you not happy? Our daughter went missing when she was just born. It is already a miracle that she is still alive. She must have suffered a lot during these years of wandering outside. Now, the heavens have taken pity on us and sent her back to us. This is a blessing from the heavens. As long as our daughter can return to us, not to mention the Ice Dragon Hammer, even if she wants to borrow your Demon's Sealing Divine Sword, I will not hesitate. The Demon's Sealing Divine Sword was one of the top treasures of the Demon Clan. It was a primordial soul-level treasure and was known as a divine weapon in the Tianxian land. Most importantly, the Demon's Sealing Divine Sword was the Emperor's sword passed down from generation to generation in the Demon Imperial Court. Only the Demon Emperor who ruled the Imperial Court could wear and use it. With the Demon's Sealing Godly Sword in hand, one could command all the demons in the world. It was the supreme holy artifact of the demon race. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor understood Ling Xing's feelings, but when he heard her words, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head helplessly. He held onto Demon Empress Ling Xing's hand and revealed a doting expression. He comforted her gently, Ling Xing, after my daughter went missing, I have been blaming myself. If the girl Kunwu brought back is really our daughter, of course I would be happier than anyone else. However, this matter is of great importance. Our daughter's identity is extraordinary, you know that. Hearing his words, the Spirit Star Demon Empress' body stiffened. She seemed to have recalled something, and a strange look flashed across her eyes. She then whispered, Husband, I was too agitated. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor nodded with a gentle expression. He turned to Kun Wu and solemnly said, Kun Wu, go and bring that girl over. Let Imperial Father and Imperial Mother have a look. If she really is our daughter, Royal Father will definitely lend her the Ice Dragon Hammer. If she is not your sister, Royal Father will have to reconsider this matter. Kun Wu smiled and nodded. He cupped his hands and bowed. Imperial Father and Imperial Mother, please wait for a moment. I will bring her over now. With that, Kun Wu turned and left the main hall. After walking out of the main hall, he rushed back to the East Palace and found Ji-ku. Ji-ku and Ji Tianxing were sitting in the study room and talking softly. They were analyzing and guessing Kun Wu's motive. After Kun Wu entered the study room, he smiled and said, Cuckoo, our luck is not bad. His Majesty the Demon Emperor is not in seclusion. He is waiting to see you in the Heavenly Net Palace. Let's go. I will bring you to the Heavenly Net Palace now to meet the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress." Hearing this, Jiku instantly revealed a look of anticipation. He asked, "Your Highness Kuan-Wu, have you already told His Majesty the Demon Emperor about borrowing the Ice Dragon Hammer? What did His Majesty say?" Kuan-Wu nodded and said, "I have already told him." His Majesty the Demon Emperor did not reject. "There is a high chance of success. However, you have to follow me to the Heavenly Net Palace first and meet them face to face." When Jiku heard the words, "a high chance of success," his eyes instantly revealed a look of joy and hope. He quickly got up and was about to leave with Kuan-Wu. "I will go with you." Ji Tianxing also stood up and followed closely beside Jiku. Kuan-Wu turned to look at him. He hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement. After a while, Kuan-Wu brought Jiku and Ji Tianxing into the main hall of the Heavenly Net Palace. When Jiku entered the main hall, the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and Spirit Star Demon Empress, who were sitting in the main hall, immediately stared at him. They sized him up excitedly. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor could still maintain his composure. However, the Spirit Star Demon Empress had already pursed her lips. Her eyes were filled with tears again. Kuan-Wu brought Jiku to the middle of the main hall and bowed to the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress. Jiku imitated his actions and bowed respectfully. "My daughter Jiku greets Your Majesty the Demon Emperor." "Greetings, Your Majesty the Demon Empress." The Spirit Star Demon Empress quickly raised her hand and used an invisible force to support Jiku. She said gently, "Child, quickly rise." Jiku was a little flattered. His heart was filled with confusion. He did not understand why the Demon Empress was so close to him. At this moment, the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor said, "Jiku, Kuan-Wu has already told me about your background. I believe you also know that you are not a human. You are a descendant of the Golden Raccoon race." Jiku had already expected this. Hence, he was not surprised. His expression was still calm and composed. She secretly circulated her skills and removed her disguise. She revealed her true appearance as a member of the Golden Raccoon race. Instantly, her hands turned into little furry claws. A pair of cute little ears grew out from her temples. There was even a furry tail behind her. When the Spirit Star Demon Empress saw her true appearance, her body trembled. Her eyes were filled with deep admiration. She was 70% to 80% sure that Jiku was her long-lost daughter. After all, her divine soul could sense that Jiku had a kinship with her. Blood was thicker than water. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's divine soul also sensed Jiku's aura. He could not help but feel excited. He continued, "Jiku, I will talk to you later about your request to borrow the Ice Dragon Hammer. Now, I want to tell you about a past event. 16 years ago, I had a son with the Demon Empress. His name was Kuan-Wu. He was already 7 years old then. That year, I went to the Eastern Seas sinkhole with the Demon Empress to fight the Dragon Race's experts. We wandered around the sinkhole for half a year. During this time, the Demon Empress became pregnant again. It was a girl. She was also the future princess of my race." Jiku did not understand why the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor wanted to talk about this. However, she stood respectfully in the hall and listened quietly. Ji Tianxing stood quietly at the side. When he heard the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's story, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. He vaguely guessed something. Chapter 670. Ji Tianxing thought of a possibility and was suddenly enlightened. If Cuckoo is really the Demon King and Demon Queen's daughter, then she is the princess of the Demon Clan and Kuan-Wu's younger sister. No wonder Kuan-Wu often came to find Cuckoo and cared for her so much. No wonder he was willing to help Cuckoo borrow the Ice Dragon Hammer and bring her back to the Demon Imperial Court. I really didn't expect Cuckoo's background to be so strange. After a while, the Heavenly Net Demon King roughly recounted the events of that year. No matter how naive Jiku was, she still felt that something was amiss with hindsight. She looked a little terrified and revealed a look of disbelief. She asked the Heavenly Net Demon King, "Your Majesty, do you mean I have something to do with your missing daughter?" The heavenly net demon king nodded and said in a serious tone, Jiku, I am 80% sure that you are our daughter. Hearing this, Jiku was instantly stunned and revealed a look of disbelief. How is this possible? Her heart was immediately in a mess. She was at a loss and her emotions were extremely complicated. She raised her head and looked at the heavenly net demon king and Lingxing demon queen, then turned to look at Kuan Wu. The three of them nodded at her and even revealed a warm and amiable smile. Seeing their reactions, Jiku became even more anxious and uneasy. She didn't know what to do and didn't know what to say. She turned her head to look at Ji Tianxing, who was beside her, and saw that Ji Tianxing was also looking at her with an encouraging gaze. That gaze seemed to have given her great courage and gradually calmed her down. She bowed to the heavenly net demon king and said calmly, Your Majesty, please forgive me for speaking bluntly. This is only your speculation and can't be confirmed. When I found out about my background, I returned to the Qingyun kingdom in the Tianshan region and asked my father for confirmation. My father gave me a pendant and said that it was the accessory I was wearing when he found me. Perhaps it has something to do with my background. After saying that, Jiku took out a dark gold pendant from his spatial ring. This pendant was a delicate and nimble golden lock, strung together by a silver bead chain, exuding a mysterious and simple aura. When the Heaven Net Demon Emperor and the Spirit Star Demon Empress saw the golden lock, their eyes widened in surprise. The Spirit Star Demon Empress extended her hand and took the golden lock into her palm. She held the golden lock and carefully observed it for a moment. Her expression became more and more excited. She reached out and gently stroked the golden lock and the beaded chain. Clear tears gushed out of her eyes. That's it. It's this longevity lock that your father personally refined for you. Child, on the night you were born, it was your mother who strung the longevity lock together with the heavenly star chain and put it on your body. Seeing the longevity lock and the heavenly star chain, Spirit Star Demon Empress no longer had any misgivings. She was very sure that Jiku was her daughter. She walked in front of Jiku with tears in her eyes. She opened her arms and hugged Jiku. She used her face to rub Jiku's long hair and sobbed softly. Child, my poor child. After 16 years, your mother has finally found you. Thank the heavens for their blessings and returning our daughter to us. Spirit Star Demon Empress had mixed feelings. Her tears flowed uncontrollably. She was both emotional and happy. Jiku was still in her embrace. She was still not used to this sudden motherly love. Her body was a little stiff, and she didn't know where to put her hands. Although Heaven Net Demon Emperor was the leader of the demon race, he was also gratified to see his daughter who had been missing for 16 years. His eyes were a little moist. No one knew how angry and pained he and Spirit Star Demon Empress were when Jiku went missing on the night she was born. However, he was still a super expert who had been through countless storms. His heart was as firm as a rock and was incomparably calm. Even though he was sure that Jiku was his long-lost daughter, he didn't lose his composure. He stood up and walked to the center of the hall. He came in front of Jiku and said in a low voice, Child, although your father is sure that you are our daughter, this matter is very important. However, this matter is of great importance. Imperial Father will have to ask the Heavenly Mirror to perform a blood test as a final test. Jiku thought for a moment and probed, Your Majesty Demon Emperor, can you lend me the Ice Dragon Hammer after I drip my blood to confirm my relationship? Heaven Net Demon Emperor didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He quickly nodded and said, Silly child, you are my daughter. Why would I reject you? Only then did Jiku feel relieved and completely at ease. She turned to look at Ji Tianxing and revealed a gratified expression. Although she didn't say anything, Ji Tianxing could read her eyes. She was clearly saying, Big brother Tianxing, you can rest assured now. I finally helped you borrow the Ice Dragon Hammer. Ji Tianxing's emotions were instantly complicated. He looked at her with a doting gaze and sighed in his heart. Kuga, you silly girl. After a while, Heaven Net Demon Emperor got Kuan Wu to personally bring the sky mirror. This mirror was a palm-sized dark green bronze mirror. It was simple and unadorned, and its edges had long been polished smooth. The edges of the bronze mirror were engraved with a hollow pattern. At the end of the mirror was a handle with ancient demon race ciphertext engraved on it. Although this bronze mirror looked unremarkable, it was a top-notch soul-grade Dharma treasure. It was comparable to the Ice Dragon Hammer and was also one of the demon race's rare treasures. This treasure could identify bloodlines and souls. It could also see the demon race's past and present lives. It could also move mountains and fill seas, summon the wind and rain, and communicate with heaven and earth. Heaven Net Demon Emperor held the sky mirror in his left hand and formed a seal with his right hand. He shot out a few streaks of 5-colored spiritual light into the mirror. The mirror immediately emitted an invisible majestic energy. It lit up with a dazzling 5-colored brilliance and became a halo. It was extremely dazzling. Heaven Net Demon Emperor channeled his energy again and forced out a drop of blood from his heart. He dripped it onto the mirror from the tip of his right index finger. His blood was like liquid gold. It emitted a dazzling golden light and an incomparably powerful spirit chi. The golden blood droplets fell on the mirror and were immediately absorbed by the mirror. They turned into pure golden smoke that rose in spirals and danced in the air like a small golden dragon. Heaven Net Demon Emperor looked at Jiku and said kindly, "Child, come." Jiku pursed her lips and hesitated for a moment. She slowly stretched out her right hand and channeled her energy to force out a drop of blood from her heart. She dripped it onto the sky mirror. Although her cultivation was still shallow, the blood from her heart contained a trace of gold. It was very pure. The drop of blood was immediately absorbed by the sky mirror. It also turned into a weak golden dragon that spiraled in the air. The two golden dragons sensed each other's aura and immediately gathered together happily. In the blink of an eye, they became one and merged perfectly. Heaven Net Demon Emperor, Spirit Star Demon Empress, and Kuan-Wu were all excited when they saw this. Spirit Star Demon Empress' tears fell like rain again. She hugged Jiku and cried. Chapter 671. The Divine Mirror showed that Jiku's bloodline was perfectly compatible with the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's. This proved that she was the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's daughter. Jiku also understood this point. She was immediately stunned, and her expression and mood became extremely complicated. The Spirit Star Demon Empress hugged her and cried. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor also walked over and hugged her and the Spirit Star Demon Empress. Kuan-Wu was even more surprised. He revealed an excited smile and couldn't help but exclaim, "Cuckoo, my intuition was right. You are indeed my little sister." At this moment, his temperament was no longer as cold and unruly as before. His eyes were actually a little red. The Demon Emperor's family hugged each other tightly. Their eyes were filled with tears. They were emotional. Fortunately, there were only the 4 of them and Ji Tianxing in the hall. There were no guards or maidservants present. If those guards and maidservants saw this, their eyeballs would probably fall to the ground from shock. Who would dare to believe that the incomparably noble, sacred, and dignified Demon Lord and Demon Empress would actually lose their composure like this? After all, the demon race placed more emphasis on blood ties and relationships than other races, especially the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and Demon Empress. They had accompanied each other for more than 200 years and were still incomparably loving. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor was the leader of the demon race, but he didn't take in any concubines. He only doted on the Spirit Star Demon Empress. This was truly a pair for life. If the two of them had a son and a daughter, their lives would be complete and perfect. Back then, Jiku went missing on the night she was born. The Demon Emperor and Demon Empress were in great pain and tried their best to search for her for more than 10 years. Now that they had found their beloved daughter, how could they not lose their composure? When Ji Tianxing saw the Demon Emperor and his family hugging each other, he didn't feel strange or awkward at all. Instead, he felt a strong sense of familial love. Jiku was able to figure out her background, find her parents, and reunite with them. This was a joyous matter. Based on the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress attitude towards her, they would definitely dote on her and wouldn't let her suffer. In fact, the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress would even make it up to her and be more obedient to her. Ji Tianxing thought to himself that this should be the best ending for Ji Ku. He was happy and gratified for Ji Ku. In the future, with the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress taking care of Ji Ku, he didn't have to worry anymore. After a long while, everyone finally calmed down. The Spirit Star Demon Empress released her embrace and held Ji Ku's hand as she lowered her head and wiped her tears. Ji Ku wiped away the tears in his eyes and stared at the Spirit Star Demon Empress and the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor. He asked in a choked voice, "Demon Emperor, Demon Empress?" Hearing how she addressed them, the Spirit Star Demon Empress quickly extended her hand to interrupt her and said gently, "Silly child, you should call them Majesty Father and Majesty Mother in the future." Ji Ku pursed his lips and fell silent for a moment before continuing to ask, "Imperial Father, Imperial Mother, since you love me so much and have been searching for me for so many years, why did you abandon me back then? Leaving me stranded outside?" The Spirit Star Demon Empress quickly shook her head and explained in a painful tone, "Child, you are the apple of our eye, our most beloved daughter. How could we abandon you? When I gave birth to your brother, Kun Wu, your imperial father and I both wanted a daughter. If we could have both children, we would have no regrets in life. However, when I was pregnant with your brother, I had a huge battle with a devil race expert. My fetus was affected and my body was injured. After giving birth to your brother, I couldn't conceive for a full 7 years. Until that year, your imperial father and I went to the eastern seas returning ruins and coincidentally obtained the heavenly star chain. It was then that I was blessed by the heavens and finally got pregnant with you." The Spirit Star Demon Empress' eyes revealed a look of reminiscence as she recounted the past in a low voice. When she mentioned the heavenly star chain, a strange look flashed across the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's eyes. He quickly interrupted her and didn't let her continue. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor took over the conversation and said earnestly to Ji Ku, "Child, when we found out that you were a girl, both Imperial Father and Imperial Mother were very happy. Your brother, Kun Wu, also pestered your Imperial Mother all day long. He wanted to talk to you through your belly and hoped that you would be born soon. On the night you were born, the Imperial Court was brightly lit and joyous. Everyone was waiting for your birth. However, not long after you were born that night, the sky changed color and the clouds became chaotic. Lightning and fire rained down from the sky. At that time, your Imperial Mother had just given birth to you. Her body was weak and she was in a coma. Imperial Father was excited and happy. He was drinking with the officials and generals at the banquet. However, a mysterious purple-robed expert sneaked into the Imperial Court. While Imperial Father and Imperial Mother were unprepared, he killed the female official and wet nurse who were taking care of you and kidnapped you. Imperial Father and Imperial Mother sensed that something was amiss and desperately chased after that purple-robed expert, wanting to take you back. However, that damned bastard was very strong. Even Imperial Father and Imperial Mother weren't his match. When the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor said this, Ji Ku and Ji Tianxing basically understood what had happened. Without a doubt, Ji Ku wasn't abandoned by the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress. Instead, he was kidnapped by a mysterious expert. Ji Tianxing immediately frowned and revealed a puzzled expression. "Your Majesty, I heard that you have already reached the peak of the soul refinement realm and are a half-step essence soul realm expert. Since you and the Demon Empress couldn't defeat that mysterious expert, doesn't that mean that person's strength has reached the essence soul realm? In today's Tianxian continent, there are only a handful of essence soul realm experts. They are rare existences. You have been searching for Ji Ku all these years. Didn't you find out the identity of that mysterious expert?" The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor looked at him deeply. He was obviously surprised by his quick thinking. "Young man, you are right. There are only a few essence soul realm experts in the world today. I once suspected the human race's Imperial Emperor and another person, but I couldn't find any concrete evidence. Until now, I still can't confirm the identity of that mysterious expert." Ji Tianxing nodded and didn't say anything else. However, he could vaguely feel that Ji Ku's background was extraordinary. Perhaps she wasn't just a demon princess. Otherwise, Ji Ku wouldn't have been kidnapped by an essence soul realm expert on the night she was born. Later on, She wandered to the human race's Qingyun kingdom and was carried out of the river by a koi. At this moment, the demon empress saw that everyone was silent and the atmosphere was heavy. She smiled gently and said, "All right, let's talk about the past and the future. The heavens took pity on us and finally sent our daughter back to us. This is a huge surprise and also a gift from the heavens to our family." The heavenly net demon emperor nodded heavily and said in a serious tone, "Ku must have suffered a lot all these years. From today onwards, I will make it up to her and never let her suffer again." Chapter 672. Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku stayed in the demon imperial court. The heavenly net demon emperor and the spirit star demon empress doted on Ji Ku and took good care of her. She felt the love and care from her family and gradually accepted her identity and adapted to the environment and life in the imperial court. Soon a day passed. That night, the demon emperor held a banquet in the heavenly net palace to welcome Ji Ku and Ji Tianxing. There were only 5 people at the banquet: the demon emperor and the demon empress, their family of 4, and Ji Tianxing. After the banquet ended, everyone sat in the main hall to drink tea and chat. Ji Ku mentioned to the heavenly net demon emperor that she wanted to borrow the ice dragon hammer. The heavenly net demon emperor agreed without hesitation. However, he still asked curiously, "Ku, why do you want to borrow the ice dragon hammer?" Ji Ku hesitated for a moment, considering whether to tell the truth or not. However, Ji Tianxing was magnanimous and immediately explained, "Your Majesty, Ku wants to borrow the ice dragon hammer to help me. I have encountered a troublesome problem and need the ice dragon hammer's power to solve it." The heavenly net demon emperor had already expected this and turned to look at Ji Tianxing. Kuan-Wu had already introduced Ji Tianxing to him, and he knew that Ji Tianxing and Ji Ku were like siblings and had a close relationship. Moreover, Ji Tianxing was the emperor of the monarch residence, the #1 genius of the human race, and the region lord of the Tianjin region. The heavenly net demon emperor had also heard of Ji Tianxing's achievements in the Middle State and his reputation and legends. Thus, the heavenly net demon emperor nodded and agreed. "Ji Tianxing, I will borrow the ice dragon hammer tomorrow and teach you how to use it." Ji Tianxing quickly bowed and thanked him. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for your help. I will definitely return it to you after using it." At this moment, Kun-Wu said to the heavenly net demon emperor with a grave expression, "Imperial Father, there's something I've wanted to report to you for a long time. There was a mysterious and powerful force hidden in Ku's soul. It would erupt from time to time and endanger her life. Previously, when we were in Central Continent City, your son could only think of a way to temporarily suppress it for her, but I was powerless to resolve this matter." Hearing this, the heavenly net demon emperor and the spirit star demon empress were stunned for a moment. Their eyes were filled with worry and pity. The heavenly net demon emperor extended his right hand with a serious expression. He released a mysterious and powerful spiritual energy to check on Ji Ku's soul. A moment later, when he detected the mysterious power in Ji Ku's soul, a strange look flashed across his eyes. Spirit Star Demon Empress had been staring at him, and when she saw his reaction, she quickly transmitted a message and asked, "Husband, how is Kuku's condition?" The heavenly net demon emperor exchanged a glance with her and sent a telepathic message. "Ling Xing, the mysterious power in Ku's soul is demonic power. It is that power." Surprise flashed across the Spirit Star Demon Empress' eyes. She quickly asked, "Husband, are you talking about the heavenly star chain?" The heavenly net demon emperor nodded slightly and said with a surprised tone, "Spirit Star, the situation is just as we guessed back then. Our daughter's background is extraordinary. It is very likely that she is the reincarnation of an almighty. If the power hidden in her soul can be completely refined and absorbed, she will definitely become a peerless prodigy of our clan. In the future, her achievements will be even greater than mine." Hearing his evaluation, the Spirit Star Demon Empress was even more shocked and delighted. At this moment, Kun-Wu saw the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress looking at each other and seemed to be secretly transmitting a message. She couldn't help but ask, "Father, Mother, how is Kuku's condition? Can it be resolved?" Only then did the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and Spirit Star Demon Empress stop transmitting a message. Their expressions returned to normal. The Heavenly Net Demon Emperor stroked his beard and nodded calmly. Kunwu, you don't have to worry too much. Of course, Father can resolve Kuku's predicament. However, this problem is a little tricky. It might take a long time. Hearing the Demon Emperor's words, Kunwu, Ji-ku, and Ji Tianxing finally heaved a sigh of relief. The Demon Emperor and Demon Empress were powerful soul refinement experts with remarkable abilities. They were also the masters of the Demon Imperial Court. They controlled the entire demon race's power and resources. Although Ji-ku's situation was very complicated, they still had a way to deal with it. However, Ji-ku's problem couldn't be solved overnight. She had to stay in the Demon Imperial Court for a long time. Under the care of the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress, she had to slowly refine the mysterious power hidden in her soul. Thinking about this problem, Ji-ku was a little hesitant and didn't agree for the time being. Ji Tianxing could tell what she was thinking. He smiled and comforted her. Kuku, you can stay in the Imperial Court with peace of mind. Let His Majesty the Demon Emperor help you refine that power. Don't worry. Once I'm done, I will come back to visit you. Furthermore, once your problem is completely resolved, you can return to the central region whenever you want. Hearing his words, Ji-ku nodded and agreed. When the Demon Emperor and Demon Empress saw this, they couldn't help but look at Ji Tianxing again. They felt a trace of gratitude towards him. Moreover, Ji-ku might not listen to their advice, but she listened to Ji Tianxing's words. This also made them understand how important Ji Tianxing was to Ji-ku. The night passed quickly. Early the next morning, the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor asked for the Ice Dragon Hammer. He lent it to Ji Tianxing and taught him how to use it. Ji Tianxing solemnly put away the Ice Dragon Hammer and cultivated in the secret room for an entire day. He thoroughly comprehended the Ice Dragon Hammer's control technique. Every soul-grade magic treasure had a corresponding control technique. Ji Tianxing could only unleash the true power of the Ice Dragon Hammer after mastering the Ice Dragon art. On the third day, the Imperial Court held a grand coronation ceremony. The Demon Emperor, Demon Empress, and Prince Kunwu led hundreds of officials and generals to hold a ceremony on the altar. They crowned Ji-ku in front of everyone and conferred her the title of princess. From now on, Ji-ku was the little princess of the Demon Imperial Court. She was one of the most honorable people. Furthermore, the Imperial Court had already announced the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor's edict. It would soon spread throughout the entire Western wilderness. On the fourth morning, Ji Tianxing was about to leave the Imperial Court and return to the central region. Kunwu and Ji-ku sent him to the Sky-Fleeing Tower and waved goodbye to him. Ji-ku knew that after parting with Ji Tianxing, she didn't know how long she would have to wait before seeing him again. She was a little depressed and sad. She looked at Ji Tianxing reluctantly and tearfully reminded him. Big brother Tianxing, after you return to the central region, you must be careful. Don't be reckless. If you have any difficulties, tell us. We will help you think of a solution. Don't take on everything by yourself. Ji Tianxing smiled and nodded. He also reminded her, Kuku, stay in the Imperial Court and cultivate in peace. Solve the hidden danger in your soul as soon as possible. I believe that you will be able to reunite with us in the central region soon. After saying that, he looked at Kunwu and cupped his hands with a sincere expression. He said, Your Highness Kunwu, please take care of Kuku. I believe you will not let her suffer, right? Chapter 673. Under the watchful eyes of Kunwu and Ji-ku, Ji Tianxing stepped into the portal on the Sky-Fleeing Tower. Swoosh! A dazzling white light flashed and swallowed his figure. In the next moment, he crossed 100,000 miles and returned to the secret chamber in the Star Moon Manor. The secret chamber was as dark as ever, flickering with colorful spiritual light. There were also several elite guards guarding it. When the guards saw Ji Tianxing, they hurriedly bowed to greet him. One of them led him out of the secret chamber, through many corridors and palaces, and arrived at the gate of the Star Moon Manor. Ji Tianxing left the Star Moon Manor and returned to Zhongzhou City as fast as lightning. 2 hours later, he returned to the Tianqing Palace in the monarch mansion. He sat on the throne in the main hall and listened to the guard captain report to him. After listening, he found out that Yen was still in seclusion in the secret chamber to heal her injuries. Yun Yao had come to the Tianqing Palace once before and left when she learned that he was not in the palace. Ji Tianqing waved his hand to signal the guard captain to leave. Then, he got up and left the main hall, flying to Yun Yao Palace. An hour later, he entered Yun Yao Palace and saw Yun Yao meditating and cultivating. Yun Yao was relieved to see that he had returned safe and sound. She quickly led him into the secret chamber to talk. After the two of them entered the secret chamber and sat down, Yun Yao asked in a concerned tone, "Tianqing, where have you been these days? You haven't done anything to the Duanmu family's herb garden, have you?" Ji Tianqing nodded and asked with some doubt, "I went to the Demon Imperial Court these days and haven't started my operation yet." "Yao Yao, what happened? Did the situation in the Duanmu family's herb garden change?" Yun Yao frowned slightly and said in a serious tone, "I know that you are going to start your operation soon, so I sent several commanders of the Hidden Cloud Pavilion to carefully investigate the situation in the herb garden. In the past 2 to 3 years, the Duanmu family's protection of the herb garden has become more and more strict. Other than the strange ancient beasts guarding the herb garden, the number of herb garden guards had also more than doubled. Besides, the Duanmu clan has a few extra guards. They are all level 5 or 6 Sky Origin stage cultivators." Ji Tianqing frowned slightly as a cold light flashed in his eyes. The defensive power of the herb garden had doubled, doubling the difficulty of his movements. It was indeed a troublesome matter. Fortunately, Yun Yao had sent a spy to investigate in advance. Otherwise, he would most likely be at a disadvantage if he acted rashly. At this moment, Yun Yao asked again, "By the way, Tianqing, why are you going to the Demon Imperial Court?" "I asked Senior Beast King, and he said that the demon race's magic treasure, Ice Dragon Hammer, can restrain the Firebird of Heavenly Wind." Ji Tianqing explained the cause of the matter from beginning to end. After he finished speaking, Yun Yao revealed an extremely shocked expression and asked in disbelief, "Junior sister Jiku is actually the daughter of the Heavenly Net Demon Emperor and the Spirit Star Demon Empress? This was too inconceivable. I didn't expect her background to be so bizarre." Ji Tianqing nodded and said seriously, "Kuku's matter has been settled. I believe she will be able to get rid of the danger soon and improve her strength. I have already borrowed the Ice Dragon Hammer. Next, I have to act as soon as possible." Yun Yao nodded slightly in agreement and said in a deep voice, "Tianqing, according to the Hidden Cloud Pavilion's investigation, the Duanmu clan's internal strife is getting more and more intense. The Shadow Palace's matter has not been settled yet. A few other forces are also taking advantage of the situation to add insult to injury. Duanmu Huang has been having a headache recently. However, the second elder and the third elder of the Duanmu clan have already started to act. They have sent out a large number of powerful cultivators to secretly investigate your whereabouts. They may assassinate you at any time." Hearing this, Ji Tianqing's lips curled into a cold smile. "Since that is the case, I have to act faster. Let's see if they still have the energy to assassinate me after I destroy the Duanmu clan's herb garden." Yun Yao took out a scroll from her interspatial ring and solemnly handed it to him. "Tianqing, this is the map of the herb garden drawn by the Hidden Cloud Pavilion's commanders recently. If you want to act faster, then get ready as soon as possible. I'll accompany you." Without waiting for her to finish, Ji Tianqing shook his head and refused. He sternly said, "Yao Yao, I can only act alone. You can't come with me. This matter is of great importance and I can't involve you. Otherwise, the Yun clan will be involved. At that time, my cooperation with your father will be affected and the Imperial Court will definitely intervene. I'm afraid there will be more unforeseen events." Yun Yao looked worried. She held his wrist and said in a concerned tone, "But it's more dangerous for you to act alone. If something happens," Ji Tianqing held her slender hand and comforted her gently. "Yao Yao, don't worry about me. I'll be fine." After some persuasion, Yun Yao agreed to not participate in the operation and stay in the emperor residence to wait for news. However, she was still worried and solemnly warned Ji Tianqing. An hour later, the two of them agreed on the operation plan. After everything was ready, Ji Tianqing left Yunyao Palace. It was noon and the sun was shining brightly in the sky. Ji Tianqing didn't return to Tianqing Palace. Instead, he left the emperor residence at lightning speed and rushed to the mango forest in the southeast of Central State. Now that he had the ice dragon hammer, he couldn't wait to destroy the Duanmu clan's herb garden. To be safe, he acted alone with only the little black dragon and Qianyu by his side. After flying for more than 20 hours, he finally entered the depths of the mango forest on the evening of the second day and arrived near a herb garden. He hid in the clouds in the sky and looked down at the situation below. He was in the depths of the mango forest, where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was the densest and most abundant. It was more than 1,000 miles away from Azure Wood City. All around him was a boundless dark green forest that covered the undulating mountain ranges. 30 miles in front of Ji Tianqing, there was a basin surrounded by mountains that had a radius of 100 miles. The water and earth in that basin nourished spiritual energy and was extremely rich in the aura of green wood. It was the most suitable place for growing and cultivating medicinal herbs. There was no doubt that the Duanmu clan had turned that basin into a herb garden and cultivated an endless amount of spiritual herbs. Looking down from the sky, Ji Tianqing could clearly see that there was a huge 5-colored wall of light above the basin that protected the entire herb garden. In the herb garden, countless square herb gardens were neatly arranged. They were filled with lush spiritual herbs that emitted a light green aura of wood. There were also several ancient and majestic palaces at the entrance to the herb garden. These were the residences of the guards and herbalists, as well as the storehouses where the herbs were stored. Teams of black-armored guards could be seen faintly in and around the herb garden. They were patrolling the area with swords and armors. Ji Tianqing observed silently and quickly came up with a plan in his heart. The Duanmu clan has built a total of 4 herb gardens in the mango forest. They are called the 100 Herb Garden, the Spirit Herb Garden, the Azure Wood Garden, and the Longevity Garden. The 4 herb gardens are scattered around Azure Wood City and are separated by over 1,000 miles. I'll start with the 100 Herb Garden. Even if the Duanmu clan hears the news and comes to help, it will take at least several hours. Brothers, I'm very sorry. I've been troubled by mundane affairs lately and have been under great pressure. Chapter 674. Ji Tianqing had seen the map Yunyao gave him long ago, so he knew the layout of the medicine garden like the back of his hand. When night descended, the 100-flower garden fell into silence and darkness both inside and outside. Only the few palaces at the entrance of the 100-flower garden faintly revealed a bit of light. Ji Tianqing was like a ghost that streaked across the night sky and silently descended into the mountain forest at the side of the 100-flower garden. He held his breath and concentrated as he hid in the forest, then secretly used his spiritual sense to observe for a moment. After confirming that there was no one nearby, he started to break open the 100-flower garden's defensive formation. Amongst the Duanmu clan's 4 medicine gardens, the Longevity Garden's medicinal herbs were the most precious, and its defense was the tightest as well. The Longevity Garden had a soul-rank defensive formation set up, and it was even guarded by the firestorm bird. The defensive strength of this 100-flower garden was comparatively weaker. It only had a high-grade Heaven Origin grade defensive formation, 200 guards, and 4 guard commanders. Ji Tianqing silently moved through the forest, and after observing for an hour, he figured out the 100-flower garden's defensive formation. This was a high-grade Heaven Origin grade defensive formation that utilized the 9 Cauldrons Universe, Azure Wood Myriad Spirit, and Cloud Mist Concealment. Not only did this defensive formation possess a formidable defensive strength, it was also able to gather the Azure Wood Spirit energy within 1,000 miles to irrigate the spirit herbs and flowers within the garden. With Ji Tianqing's attainments in the formation Dao, breaking open this high-grade Heaven Origin grade defensive formation wasn't difficult. He borrowed the strength of the mountain and river seal, and only used an hour to break open a concealed gap in the defensive formation. However, just as he was about to pass through the gap and enter the formation, he suddenly stopped moving. His spiritual sense detected that in the mountain forest 400 meters to his left, there was a group of guards in black armor that were rushing towards his hiding place. That group of guards wasn't patrolling normally, and their speed was extremely swift and their aura was fierce and icy cold. Obviously, they'd noticed the unusual situation. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the blink of an eye, 10 guards rushed to the scene like a bolt of lightning and stopped in the forest 100 meters away from Jitianxing. The strength of this group of guards had all attained the 8th and 9th level of the Origin Core stage, and their entire bodies emitted an icy cold and murderous aura. Obviously, they were elite soldiers. Their eyes were as sharp as an eagle's as they looked down and sized up their surroundings. They also released their spiritual senses to explore the surrounding situation. The leader of the guards waved his hand and ordered in a deep voice, "Just now, there were array formation energy fluctuations here. Everyone, spread out and search carefully. We must find out the reason." "Understood." The other 9 guards shouted in unison. Then, they spread out and released their spiritual senses to search. Seeing this, Jitianxing immediately frowned, and his eyes became gloomy. He hid in the dark forest, not moving at all, not revealing the slightest bit of true essence fluctuation. Even so, there were still 2 guards walking towards his hiding place. No matter how well Jitianxing hid, when the 2 guards got close, they would still discover him and find a gap in the defensive formation. Thus, Jitianxing made up his mind. A cold light flashed in his eyes. "Since you're courting death, then don't blame me for going on a killing spree." He silently muttered in his heart, then his figure flashed and floated out. He transformed into a black shadow that was like a ghost as he silently tore through the night sky and instantly arrived behind a guard. Then he stretched out his hand like a bolt of lightning to grab towards the guard's throat. That guard had just noticed something was wrong and hadn't even reacted when his throat was grabbed by a large hand. Crack! An imperceptible sound of bones shattering sounded out. This guard's throat was instantly crushed, and dark red blood flowed out from his mouth as he died on the spot. Jitianxing threw the guard's corpse on the ground, then swiftly charged towards another guard like a phantom. That guard was staring at the ground with a fierce gaze, searching for clues. He still didn't know what had happened. He only felt his throat tighten, then his vision went black and he fell into eternal darkness. After Jitianxing easily killed 2 guards, his figure flashed and vanished. Then he continued to assassinate the other few guards. In the next 100 breaths of time, one after another black-armored guards were attacked and quietly assassinated by Jitianxing. After 100 breaths of time, 7 out of 10 guards had been killed. The last 3 guards finally realized that something was wrong and let out a panicked and angry roar. The captain of the guards found the corpse in the forest and knew that they had been attacked. He immediately took out a signal arrow and was about to send a signal to inform the captain of the guards in the herb garden. Jitianxing didn't care about hiding his aura anymore. He rushed towards the captain of the guards as fast as a stream of light. He fiercely slapped the captain away, smashing the signal arrow into pieces. The captain of the guards was sent flying backwards while vomiting blood. His chest was deeply caved in, and his heart and internal organs had been shattered. He died on the spot. The other 2 guards saw the captain of the guards being killed with a single palm strike, and they were scared out of their wits. They turned around and fled, but they didn't forget to scream in horror. Jitianxing rushed up with a cold expression and killed one of the guards with a single palm strike. He then released a golden sword light and killed another guard from 100 meters away. The 10 guards were all killed, but it also made a lot of noise and woke up the guards in the herb garden. Suddenly, more than a dozen dazzling true essence lights lit up in the herb garden, and there was a burst of shouting. Jitianxing saw that the guards in the herb garden were alarmed, so he didn't delay any longer and didn't hide his aura. He passed through the gap in the array as fast as the wind and got into the herb garden. He rushed to the center of the herb garden as fast as lightning. The guards in the herb garden immediately rushed over like a swarm of bees, waving their sabers and swords as they shouted to kill. Someone broke into the herb garden. "Stop him! Kill him! Those who break into the herb garden will be killed without mercy." When Jitianxing flew to the center of the herb garden, More than 30 guards also rushed over and surrounded him. Moreover, there were even more guards who were alerted from all directions and were rushing over as fast as lightning. Ji Tianxing stood in the night sky and looked down at the guards in the herb garden on the ground below. His eyes became cold and indifferent. There was a flash in his left palm, and the black dragon sword appeared out of thin air. Qian Yu also flew out of the 100 treasures brocade pouch, flapping his wings and floating in the air. Ji Tianxing said in a low voice, "Qian Yu, do your best to destroy the herb garden. I will take care of these guards." "No problem, I am the best at destroying things." Qian Yu quickly agreed and released a dazzling icy blue brilliance. It condensed into thousands of ice blades and frost swords and poured down on the herb garden below. The guards on the ground were shocked and quickly counterattacked, blocking the cold light from the blades and swords that fell from the sky. They wanted to protect the herb garden. However, Ji Tianxing had already pulled out the black dragon sword and fiercely slashed at the ground. Dragon soars from the 9th heaven. A 30-meter-long ice dragon appeared out of thin air and with an invincible power, it slashed at the ground below. Boom! In a deafening sound, more than a dozen guards who couldn't dodge in time were killed by the ice dragon. Chapter 675. The ground was shaking as cracks appeared all over the ground. The 20 or so guards who were lucky enough to survive were scared out of their wits as they let out terrified screams. A few patches of the herb garden were destroyed on the spot. The flowers and herbs that grew there were also turned into dregs by the violent qi. Qian Yu's swords and blades carried with them a bone-chilling coldness as they landed on the ground within a kilometer radius. Instantly, the ground within a kilometer radius turned into frozen soil. The surviving flowers and herbs were also frozen to death on the spot. Once the 100-flower spirit herbs in the herb garden matured and were sold in the market, they could fetch at least 20 to 30,000 spirit stones. If the Duanmu clan made them into dawn, their value would be multiplied by a few times, reaching at least 100,000 spiritual stones. Ji Tianxing's interspatial ring contained all kinds of spiritual stones, dawn, and gems. They were only worth 40,000 to 50,000 spiritual stones. He destroyed tens of thousands of spiritual stones worth of herbs in one move, but he did not feel the slightest bit of heartache. Instead, he was even more excited. After all, those herbs belonged to the Duanmu clan. Moreover, killing and wantonly destruction would make people excited and restless. Ji Tianxing did not hesitate to swing his sword again. A blinding ray of light shot out and slashed at the fleeing guards. Water split. His entire body was filled with fighting spirit as he violently slashed out a giant ray of light that was hundreds of meters long. Instantly, the dark night sky was lit up. Sword chi filled the entire herb garden and created a violent hurricane. Boom! Following a loud explosion, a few more guards who could not escape in time were killed by the giant sword. A huge ravine that was thousands of meters long appeared on the ground, like an abyss. Dense cracks appeared on both sides of the gully. Dozens of patches of the herb garden were affected and turned into ruins. The violent shockwave swept across and crushed all the flowers and herbs on the ground into pieces, destroying them on the spot. Ji Tianxing let go of the black dragon sword and allowed it to transform back into its original form as it destroyed the herb garden with Qian Yu. The little black dragon let out a high-pitched dragon roar and immediately transformed into a 30-meter-long black dragon that danced in the sky. It and Qian Yu worked together to cast a spell and gathered all the spiritual qi in the herb garden to form a black cloud that covered the sky. Moving clouds and summoning rain, ice blade and frost sword. Within the rolling dark clouds, tens of thousands of icy blue water droplets condensed, transforming into countless ice blades and frost swords that poured down like a torrential downpour. Instantly, the ground was riddled with holes by the ice blades and frost swords. Numerous craters and cracks appeared. Millions of spiritual herbs and flowers were minced into pieces by the ice blades and frost swords. They were frozen into powder and scattered in the ruins. The little black dragon and Qian Yu were having a great time playing, and they were even using their arts to slowly move the dark clouds in the night sky. Wherever the dark clouds passed by, frost and swords would rain down, destroying every inch of land. Ji Tianxing didn't stop either. Standing in the night sky, he waved his palms and used the secret technique of the Tianxing 5 extremes. Large balls of earthy yellow light surged in his palms. He was communicating with the heavens and earth, controlling the earth elemental power within 100 miles. As he used the secret technique, the night sky around him constantly gathered dark yellow light of spirit qi. After 100 breaths of time, with him as the center, the night sky for 10 miles around him had become a dusky yellow zone. Finally, Ji Tianxing had accumulated the earth elemental power to the limit, reaching the peak of his control. With a roar like a great bell, he fiercely waved his palms and slammed them into the earth beneath his feet. Yellow sky, thick earth, I grasp the universe. Heaven overturning earth, earth turns to stone. At that moment, the dusky yellow light in a 10-mile radius crashed into the earth like a mountain peak. Rumble. A thunderous boom that shook the highest heavens exploded, fiercely reverberating through the herb garden. The sound waves were as vigorous as thunder, causing the medicinal garden's defensive array to shake incessantly. As for the earth beneath his feet, it underwent a heaven-shaking transformation that left one flabbergasted. The dark brown earth began to ripple like the surface of the sea. The herb garden on the ground completely collapsed, and the earth mixed with hundreds of flowers and herbs sank into the ground. The earth from the ground surged up, covering everything on the ground. The earth converged into a dark brown wave of earth, crazily tumbling and rolling. With the earth beneath his feet as the center, it spread out in all directions. In a short 100 breaths of time, the earth for dozens of miles had been overturned. Thousands of herb gardens that cultivated herbs had been completely destroyed. Hundreds of millions of spirit flowers and herbs had been crushed into dregs, mixed with the earth, and buried deep underground. Then, the fertile earth condensed into a black stone that covered dozens of miles of land. Half an incense stick of time ago, the area of 50 to 60 miles had been a colorful and fragrant herb garden with hundreds of flowers in full bloom. But now, this area had become uneven, covered with cold black stones and cracks. It was like a broken desert, incomparably desolate, without a single blade of grass growing. The herb garden guards that had rushed over from all directions witnessed this scene with their own eyes. They were all shocked speechless. At this moment, in the night sky at the entrance of the herb garden, several beams of true essence light shot out like a stream of light. Within those beams of light, there was a figure of a powerful cultivator, emitting an overwhelming aura and murderous intent. They were extremely fast. After a short while, they had rushed to the center of the herb garden and surrounded Ji Tianxing. There were 4 powerful cultivators in total. All of them were at the 5th or 6th level of Sky Origin stage, wearing the same cyan robe. Without a doubt, these 4 powerful cultivators were the 4 leaders of the herb garden guards. They scattered in 4 directions, surrounding Ji Tianxing in the middle, keeping a distance of 1,000 meters from him. When they saw the changes on the ground, and saw that half of the herb garden had been destroyed, they were furious and roared in anger. "How dare you! How dare you destroy the herb garden? Bastard, no matter who you are, you will die a horrible death tonight. You damned little bastard, your death is not to be regretted. I will cut you into 1,000 pieces and put you to death." As the 4 leaders roared in anger, they drew out their swords and sabers. Their murderous intent shot up to the sky. Ji Tianxing was surrounded, but he was fearless. There was a flash of chilling light in his eyes. "All the dogs of the Duanmu clan deserve to die," he shouted in a low voice. Immediately, he performed his ultimate sword skill and initiated an attack. Metal Slash. He activated all of his power and released a giant golden sword that was 100 meters long. He slashed at the leader of the eastern group of guards. The golden sword flew across the sky and shone brightly, lighting up an area of 10 miles. The incomparably violent sword Qi and the sword intent that could destroy the world caused the expressions of the 4 commanders to turn solemn. Deep fear appeared in their eyes. The leader of the eastern group of guards quickly stepped back and formed a shield with all his might, trying to block the attack of the golden sword. However, the metal slash had locked onto his aura. After chasing him for 2,000 meters, it still hit him. Boom. Chapter 676. The loud sound was still echoing in the night sky. The body parts and blood of the guard commander were still falling in the night sky. It was a ghastly scene under the golden light. Boom! The giant golden sword slashed down on the ground, creating a 10-mile-long trench on the ground that was covered with black stones. The ground within dozens of miles was shaking violently. The other 3 commanders saw their comrade being killed by Ji Tianxing with one strike. They were so shocked that their eyes were wide open. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that a young man in a white robe at the 4th level of Sky Origin Stage could kill a guard commander at the 5th level of Sky Origin Stage with one strike. That was so horrifying. However, the 3 of them were only stunned for a moment before they came back to their senses. They hurriedly swung their swords at Ji Tianxing and took the chance to surround him. Kill him. Kill him. Avenge Commander Li. We have to kill him tonight. Otherwise, how can we explain to the main house? The herb garden was destroyed, and one of the commanders was killed. It was a great loss. Only by fighting a bloody battle and killing Ji Tianxing on the spot could the 3 commanders atone for their crimes. Otherwise, the Duanmu clan would punish them and they would be executed. Sword of Pride Sovereign. Falling Moon Sword. Sky-breaking sword. The 3 commanders roared with murderous intent. They activated all their martial arts and waved their swords, creating terrifying sword lights. Ji Tianxing didn't panic in the face of the 3 people's attacks. He was still calm and composed. He turned his head to look at the commander in the west. A golden eye suddenly appeared on his forehead. It was his 3rd eye, the Thunder Spiritual Eye. Thunder! Ji Tianxing let out a low roar as he opened his lightning spiritual eyes. Violent lightning energy was released from his azure pupils. The destructive thunder power condensed into a 20-meter-long blue light beam that was as thick as a bucket. It fiercely shot toward the commander in the west. Kaboom! The pillar of lightning tore through the night sky, bringing with it an overwhelming amount of lightning serpents that drowned out the commander. He didn't have time to run or dodge. He could only use his martial arts to form a shield to block the light beam. However, Ji Tianxing used up all the thunder power stored in his Thunder Spiritual Eye at once. How terrifying was that thunder power! The commander's Zhenyuan shield was instantly shattered, and his body turned into black charcoal, collapsing and exploding. The power of the light beam didn't decrease. It fiercely hit the ground again. Following an earth-shattering rumble, a crater with a radius of 100 meters was blasted out of the ground. The blue thunder power splashed out and covered the ground thousands of meters around it, turning the ground into a scorched land. In the blink of an eye, 2 of the 4 commanders were killed. The remaining 2 commanders were still besieging Ji Tianxing. However, their hearts were also filled with anxiety and fear. As the 2 of them fought Ji Tianxing, they gave orders to the surrounding guard captains. "What are you doing? Quick! Go and inform them. Bastard! Go report to the main house and ask them to send reinforcements." After receiving the order, the panic-stricken guards immediately rushed to the palace at the entrance of the herb garden to pass on the message. However, Ji Tianxing was prepared. After getting rid of the siege of the 2 commanders, he cut through the night sky and rushed to the entrance of the herb garden. After 100 breaths, he arrived at the entrance of the herb garden. He saw a few ancient and majestic palaces. They were brightly lit and there were vague figures flashing. The palaces were noisy. It was chaotic and noisy. Obviously, the guards, pharmacists, and handymen stationed in the palaces only knew that someone had sneaked into the herb garden and started a massacre. They didn't know what was going on. Ji Tianxing stood in the night sky above the palaces. He murmured with a cold expression, "In these palaces, there are countless medicinal herbs and elixirs. They are priceless. They must be destroyed." As he said that, he slowly raised his red left arm. A violent red flame primordial fire gushed out from his palm. Burning sky palm. He shouted in a low voice like a muffled thunder. He slammed his palm on the ground in front of him. Suddenly, a giant flaming palm with a radius of hundreds of meters appeared. It hit the ground with a destructive power. Boom! In the earth-shattering noise, two tall and majestic palaces were smashed by the giant flaming palm and turned into brick ruins. The overwhelming red flame primordial fire burst out and covered a radius of 10 miles. It turned the entire area into a sea of red flame. The terrifying impact caused the other two palaces to collapse and be engulfed by the sea of fire. In the four palaces, there were not only piles of medicinal herbs and finished elixirs. There were also dozens of garden guards, dozens of pharmacists, and thousands of handymen cultivating medicinal herbs. As the four palaces were destroyed, all the medicinal herbs and elixirs were destroyed. They were burned to ashes by the endless sea of fire. Even more than 1,000 people in the palaces were killed or injured. There were only a few survivors who could escape the sea of fire. When the two guard commanders rushed to the scene and saw the ruins and the sea of fire, they were so angry that they almost went berserk. They roared wildly with their eyes wide open. "Ah, you crazy executioner, I'll fight it out with you. Bastard! Even if I kill you thousands of times, it will not be able to quell the hatred in my heart." The two commanders waved their swords and sabers crazily. They performed their lifetime's unique skills and besieged Ji Tianxing. Ji Tianxing hurriedly turned around and flew towards the other side of the herb garden. There was still an area with a radius of 40 miles. The herb garden was still intact, and there were countless medicinal herbs surviving. The two guard commanders were so angry that they almost lost their minds. They chased Ji Tianxing to the sky above the herb garden and attacked him recklessly. Ji Tianxing also fought back. He performed his unique sword skills and fought with the two commanders. Red Dragon Flash. Shatter the mountain and river. Scorching sun fire. The saber light and sword light from the two sides collided fiercely in the night sky. The dazzling true essence light burst out and illuminated the surroundings. The shockwaves of the battle spread out, shattering the earth below and creating a scene of desolation. The three fought until the heavens darkened and the earth quaked. The world was thrown into chaos, and no one dared to approach. The two sides had only exchanged 20-some blows, but the herb garden within 40 miles had been completely destroyed. The earth had also been reduced to scorched ruins. The two guard commanders were too heavily injured. They could no longer hold on and were killed by Ji Tianxing. The battle was finally over, and the entire 100-flower garden had been completely destroyed. All the herb gardens had been reduced to ruins. The herbs and pills stored in the palaces had been reduced to ashes. Even the guards, laborers, and alchemists of the herb garden had been wiped out. Such a heavy blow was enough to cause the Duanmu clan to suffer a great loss of vitality. But this was still not enough. Ji Tianxing quietly left with the little black dragon and Qianyu, rushing to the longevity garden as quickly as possible. After all, the longevity garden was the most important of the 4 herb gardens, the core herb garden of the Duanmu clan. Chapter 677. 100-Flower Garden and Longevity Garden. One was in the east and the other was in the north of Greenwood City. There was a distance of 2,000 miles between the two gardens. Even with Ji Tianxing's sword kinesis flight, it took him 4 hours to reach the vicinity of Longevity Garden. It was the wee hours of the morning. The sky was dark and moonless while the ground was silent. He stood on top of a tall mountain outside the Garden of Longevity, silently observing the topography of the Garden of Longevity and silently calculating. It's been 4 hours since I destroyed 100-Flower Garden. Even if the surviving guards and elixir masters in 100-Flower Garden rushed to Greenwood City to report, they would need at least 6 hours. If the Duanmu family realizes that something is wrong and sends reinforcements to Longevity Garden, it would definitely be 10 hours later. I only have 10 hours. I have to destroy Longevity Garden as soon as possible. At the thought of this, he secretly clenched his fists and his eyes became serious and determined. Following that, Ji Tianxing used an hour to observe the layout of the entire Longevity Garden. The Garden of Longevity was the largest of the 4 gardens, spanning a radius of 200 miles. Moreover, the garden was not a basin or plain but a continuous mountain range. There were 9 dark green mountain ranges in Longevity Garden and more than a dozen green mountain peaks filled with spirit herbs. According to Yun Yao's intelligence, there were more than 300 guards, 6 guard commanders and an ancient mutated beast, the heavenly wind firebird, in Longevity Garden. Most importantly, the defensive formation protecting the entire Longevity Garden was a soul-level formation built by the Duanmu family with all their wealth and manpower. This formation was like a dark green canopy that enveloped a radius of 200 miles, protecting the entire medicinal garden. It was because of the protection of this formation and the heavenly wind firebird that Longevity Garden was so safe that almost no one dared to invade. Ji Tianxing sneaked to the edge of Longevity Garden and observed the defensive formation at a close distance. An hour later, a look of disappointment flashed through his eyes. He had to admit a fact. Although he was a formation grandmaster, he was only at divine origin realm and could not break this soul-level formation. Ji Tianxing furrowed his brows and observed the dark blue sky with a serious expression. He was racking his brains to think of a way to break it. A moment later, an idea flashed through his mind. No formation is perfect. There are bound to be flaws and weak points. This sky-like formation looks invulnerable, but it definitely has weak points and flaws. It's just that they're hidden and I can't find them for the time being. If the weak point of this formation wasn't on the surface, then it was very likely to be underground. If there's no door to heaven, then I'll enter the earth. If I sneak into the Longevity Garden from underground, I might have a chance to succeed. Thinking of this, Ji Tianxing's eyes flashed with anticipation. He hurriedly used the power of the earth element. His entire body was covered in a layer of yellow light. Like a sharp shuttle, he drilled into the ground and dived deep into the ground. He swam in the depths of the underground, moving stealthily like a fish swimming in the water. About half an hour later, he swam 5 miles underground and finally stopped. On the dark blue light screen in front of him, there was an area that was lighter in color. This was one of the weak points of the formation. This weak point was very well hidden. It was hidden 200 meters underground and was only the size of a palm. An ordinary formation master would never be able to find it. However, Ji Tianxing's formation skills were superb and he was very meticulous. He successfully found this weak point. Of course, even if he found the weak point of the formation, he wouldn't be able to break it. If a Sky Origin stage expert wanted to break a soul-level formation, they could only rely on the power of a soul-level artifact. Therefore, Ji Tianxing took out the Ice Dragon Hammer from his interspatial ring. Swoosh! A dazzling white light flashed and a white bone hammer appeared in Ji Tianxing's palm. This bone hammer was about 4 feet long. The handle was a slightly curved bone club. It was as thick as Ji Tianxing's arm. The end of the handle was connected to a white rhinoceros horn that was half a meter long. It was the hammer of the Ice Dragon Hammer. From the outside, this Ice Dragon Hammer looked like a hammer, but also like a sickle. However, the Ice Dragon Hammer looked simple and unadorned. It didn't have many decorations or carvings. If one looked closely, they would find that the Ice Dragon Hammer was engraved with spirit runes and a few ancient demon race words. It contained a mysterious and vast power that seemed to be connected to heaven and earth. It was as heavy as a mountain and as vigorous as the sea. Ji Tianxing held the Ice Dragon Hammer in his right hand and felt cold. A formless cold air rushed into his body and into his mind. That cold air immediately shook his mind. His soul and thoughts became abnormally calm and sharp. This feeling was something that a Sky Origin stage weapon wouldn't have. With the Ice Dragon Hammer in his hand, Ji Tianxing became more confident and domineering. His eyes became brighter and sharper. He silently used the Ice Dragon art and controlled the power of the Ice Dragon Hammer. It lit up with a dazzling white light and emitted a bone-chilling cold. Very quickly, the sparkling and translucent rhinoceros horn was wrapped in white light, accumulating a terrifying power. Without hesitation, Ji Tianxing raised his hammer and smashed it onto the weak point of the defensive formation. With a bang, The weak point of the formation was smashed open on the spot. A ripple-like crack appeared on the dark green light screen. It's indeed effective. The Ice Dragon Hammer is indeed worthy of being the demon race's clan treasure, a top soul-level magic treasure. Ji Tianxing revealed a look of joy as he praised in his heart. He raised the Ice Dragon Hammer once again and smashed it onto the weak point of the formation with all his might. Crack! With a crisp cracking sound, the weak point of the formation was immediately broken, and a fist-sized hole appeared. Dark green spirit energy continuously gushed out from the hole. This was the power of the formation leaking out. Ji Tianxing raised the Ice Dragon Hammer again and smashed it around the hole a dozen times. The hole quickly expanded to about half a meter, turning into a large gap. It's finally done. Ji Tianxing hurriedly put away the Ice Dragon Hammer, passed through the gap, and entered the defensive formation. He successfully entered the interior of the herb garden and quickly swam up to the surface. Very quickly, he came out from the depths of the ground and returned to the forest on the surface. At first glance, the surrounding dense forest was filled with large trees. However, when Ji Tianxing focused his gaze, he realized that every blade of grass and tree in the forest was a rare and precious medicinal herb. Endless medicinal herbs and trees wrapped around the entire mountain peak, forming a medicinal mountain that was thousands of feet tall. In the Longevity Garden, there were more than a dozen of such medicinal mountains. Ji Tianxing looked around a few times before flying out of the dense forest and into the dark night sky. He looked down at the medicinal mountain below him and slowly raised his left arm. He was about to use the heaven-burning palm to turn the entire medicinal mountain into ruins. But at this moment, in the night sky 1,000 meters behind him, a bright yellow flame suddenly lit up and flew over as fast as lightning. Swish! In the blink of an eye, that dazzling flame flew 1,000 meters away and arrived behind Ji Tianxing. Chapter 678. As the mountain-like firebird flew over, a violent hurricane appeared in the night sky. Ji Tianxing immediately turned around and looked at the giant firebird in the night sky. He frowned and his pupils constricted. This was a firebird that was completely red. It was as large as a mountain, and its wings could cover the sky. It looked a little like the legendary vermilion bird. Its appearance was majestic and mighty. There were 9 dark golden feathers on its head and 18 100-meter-long tail feathers on its tail. It looked very gorgeous and beautiful. However, its aura was not as sacred and majestic as that of a divine beast. Instead, it was domineering and violent. Even though it was floating in the night sky and did not attack, it was emitting a violent fighting spirit. Its body lit up with flames, illuminating the night sky in a radius of dozens of miles. It was like a blazing sun hanging in the sky. The extremely high temperature and waves of fire caused the night sky around it to distort. Ji Tianxing immediately understood when he saw the giant firebird's appearance. This firebird that was as large as a mountain was the ancient beast that guarded the Garden of Longevity, the Skywind Firebird. Just as Ji Tianxing was secretly on guard, the Heavenly Wind Firebird stared at him for a while and spoke. "Kid, who are you? How dare you barge into the Longevity Garden? Do you want to die?" The Heavenly Wind Firebird actually spoke human language, and its pronunciation was perfect. It was no different from a human speech. Ji Tianxing was a little surprised, but he was not surprised. After all, this Heavenly Wind Firebird had been reared by the Duanmu family for hundreds of years. Its intelligence was basically equivalent to a human's. The Heavenly Wind Firebird saw that Ji Tianxing was silent, so it shouted in a dignified tone, "Kid, you don't have to explain anything. I saw you barge into the Longevity Garden with my own eyes. If you don't want to die, cripple your own cultivation and kneel down to beg for mercy. Don't wait for me to make a move. Otherwise, you won't be able to keep your life and will definitely be turned into ashes." The Heavenly Wind Firebird had an arrogant attitude. Its tone was very domineering and unquestionable. Ji Tianxing curled the corner of his mouth, revealing a mocking sneer. "Ha! A feathered beast dares to be so arrogant and conceited? Looks like you've been tyrannical in the Duanmu clan for too long." The firebird of heavenly wind was instantly enraged, and its eyes were filled with fury and killing intent. What a reckless little thing. You actually dare to insult this prince? You must be tired of living. It just so happens that I've been bored in the longevity garden for many years, so I'll amuse myself with you tonight. Brat, this king will let you taste the feeling of being roasted by fire and wishing you were dead. As it spoke, the firebird's eyes were filled with ridicule and cruelty. Ji Tianxing held the black dragon sword and crooked his finger at the firebird. He sneered and said, "Humph. It just so happens that I also want to have a taste of an ancient beast. Big roast chicken, I will cut you into slices, wrap you in spices, and slowly savor you." The Skywind flaming bird was highly respected in the Duanmu clan, and it was even an overlord in the longevity garden that kept its word. It was worshipped by countless guards and servants, so when had it ever been ridiculed like this? It flapped its wings furiously, opened its sharp beak, and cursed coldly. "Little thing, you've successfully angered this king. You're dead meat. This king will burn you to ashes and use you as fertilizer for planting flowers." As it spoke, it opened its beak and spat out a bright yellow pillar of fire that was 100 meters long, which blasted toward Ji Tianxing. That bright yellow pillar of fire was formed from earth fire, and its power was incomparably violent. It could melt a mountain into magma. Seeing that the firebird of heavenly wind was about to go crazy from anger, Ji Tianxing's eyes flashed with a sneer. He pulled out the black dragon sword and slashed at the firebird of heavenly wind with all his might to meet that pillar of fire. Dragon soars from the 9 heavens. With a wave of the black dragon sword, a huge ice dragon appeared and blasted toward the pillar of fire descending from the sky. Ice and fire countered each other, so Ji Tianxing wanted to test the firebird of heavenly wind's strength. Boom! In the deafening sound, the bright yellow pillar of fire trembled violently and burst into flames. However, the pillar of fire was still intact, and it continued to blast toward Ji Tianxing. On the other hand, the ice dragon was smashed into pieces by the pillar of fire. It turned into ice crystals that filled the sky and scattered on the herb mountain below. Seeing this, Ji Tianxing immediately frowned and his eyes became serious. This firebird of heavenly wind is actually so powerful? Seeing the pillar of fire coming toward him, Ji Tianxing had nowhere to hide. He could only close the golden wings on his back to protect himself. Wings of the golden rock. At the same time, the towering pillar of fire hit the wings of the golden rock and engulfed Ji Tianxing's figure. Wrapped in the pillar of fire, he plummeted from the night sky and blasted into the herb mountain below. Boom! A dull and loud sound burst out. The terrifyingly powerful pillar of fire blasted the herb mountain into a crater with a radius of 1,000 meters and dozens of huge ravines. The entire herb mountain shook violently, and countless soil and boulders collapsed. Bright yellow earth fire burst out and covered the entire mountain peak. Instantly, the peak of the herb mountain turned into a sea of fire. Countless precious herb trees and flowers were burned to ashes in the sea of fire. Even the earth and soil on the mountain peak were burned into scorched ruins by the earth fire. The firebird of heavenly wind hovered above the herb mountain and looked down at Ji Tianxing at the bottom of the crater. It sneered contemptuously. "Haha, you damned little thing, now you know how powerful I am, right? But don't kneel down and beg for mercy. That's too boring. I said I would burn you to ashes, and I will do it." Ji Tianxing spread his golden wings and shook off the scorched earth on his body. Swoosh! He stood up and scathed, spread his wings, and flew out of the crater. He returned to the night sky and faced the firebird of heavenly wind from 1,000 meters away. This damned firebird really has the strength of a half-step soul-tempering realm cultivator. If I don't use the ice dragon hammer, I won't be its match. Ji Tianxing narrowed his eyes as this thought flashed through his mind. Of course, although he thought this, he looked even more arrogant on the surface. He sneered contemptuously. "Big roasted chicken, is this all you've got? As the guardian beast of the Garden of Longevity, a half-step soul-tempering realm monster king, you're actually so weak. You're really a weakling." The firebird of heavenly wind found it unbelievable that he was unscathed. It thought it was seeing things. Hearing his mocking words, the firebird of heavenly wind became even more furious. It roared in a low voice, "Don't be so smug, you little worm. Even if you're lucky enough to escape this time, you won't be able to block my earth fire. I'll show you the true power of the earth fire right now." As soon as it finished speaking, the firebird of heavenly wind's body ignited with flames and gathered in its claws, forming two huge fireballs. It continued to compress the two fireballs, causing the endless earth fire to condense until it was the size of a millstone. Die! Chapter 679. The firebird's two fireballs didn't look big, but their power was terrifying. Ji Tianxing purposely angered the Skywind firebird in order to destroy the longevity garden. Therefore, he wouldn't fight the firebird for the time being. When the firebird condensed the two geocentric fireballs, he had already run away. Whoosh, whoosh. When the geocentric fireballs came whistling and smashed toward him with destructive power, he was already 5 miles away. One of the geocentric fireballs brushed past him and was narrowly dodged. Bang! It smashed into the herb mountain below. Instantly, the entire herb mountain was smashed into pieces by the geocentric fireball. The terrifying geocentric flames exploded and turned the entire herb mountain into a sea of fire. Every single blade of grass, every single tree, and every single medicinal herb on the 1,000-zhang-tall mountain was burned into ashes. Even the soil and rocks were turned into dark red lava by the geocentric flames and flowed in all directions. The other geocentric fireball chased after Ji Tianxing for 1,000 meters and finally hit him. The moment before the geocentric fireball hit him, he poured his true essence into his golden wings and closed them to protect himself. Bang! The geocentric fireball smashed into the golden wings and smashed him into the herb mountain from the sky. Following an earth-shattering explosion, a 1,000-meter-wide crater appeared in the dark green mountain range filled with medicinal herbs. The entire mountain range shook violently from the impact. Countless wide gullies were split open, and countless earth and boulders collapsed. The geocentric flames that could destroy the world exploded and turned the area within a 10-mile radius into a sea of fire. All the herb trees were burned to ashes. The earth and herb mountain were also melted into dark red lava that flowed freely in all directions. Wherever the lava flowed through, the mountain became a pitch-black scorched ruin. The entire herb mountain was engulfed in raging flames and turned into a sea of fire. The lava flowed in all directions like waves. When the firebird saw this, its huge body shook, and its eyes were filled with regret. It's over! This king actually forgot that the earth core fire would destroy the herb mountain and incinerate countless herbs. That damned little bastard! You caused this prince to be muddle-headed for a moment and actually made such a big mistake. You must be punished by the main house. Despicable and shameless reptile, even if I burn you to ashes, I still won't be able to vent my hatred. Only then did the heavenly wind fiery bird wake up from its stupor. It was furious and regretful. It cursed furiously. Its heart was filled with worry as it guessed how the Duanmu clan would punish it after finding out that the herb mountain had been destroyed. At this moment, a golden light flew out from the raging sea of fire. Shwa! The golden light flew into the sky and stopped 1,000 meters away from the firebird, revealing a tall and handsome figure. He was Ji Tianxing. Apart from his slightly pale face, there were no other injuries on his body. When the heavenly wind fiery bird saw him appear safe and sound, it turned pale with fright. Its eyes widened in shock. You're not dead yet? How is this possible? That ball of earth core fire was able to shatter a 1,000 feet tall mountain and turn the ground into magma. Its power was naturally terrifying. The heavenly wind fiery bird could not believe that Ji Tianxing was not killed on the spot after being hit by its ball of earth core fire. This was simply too unbelievable. Ji Tianxing looked at the heavenly wind fiery bird with a mocking expression and sneered contemptuously. You stupid bird, you're really as stupid as a pig and as weak as a chicken. What bullshit earth core fire? You're not even qualified to tickle me. Stupid bird, What other tricks do you have? Show them all and let me see what you're capable of." As he spoke, Ji Tianxing hooked his finger at the heavenly wind fiery bird. His expression was arrogant and provocative. The heavenly wind fiery bird was used to riding roughshod over others. It was used to being high up and being worshipped by others. Ji Tianxing's wanton humiliation made it tremble with anger. Its golden eyes were covered with a layer of red. "Brat, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You must be tired of living." The heavenly wind fiery bird was completely enraged. It no longer cared about the consequences and used all its strength to perform its ultimate move. Wind and fire in the sky. It roared in a low voice and flapped its wings crazily. It stirred up an earth-shattering hurricane, causing a fierce wind to blow for dozens of miles. Bright yellow earth core fire and red heavenly core fire rose from its body. The two types of flames spread out between its left and right wings and rose fiercely. The heavenly core fire and earth core fire became even more violent with the help of the wind. Its power also doubled. Go to hell. The heavenly wind fiery bird's aura reached its peak. When the power of the flames reached its limit, it roared furiously and released an earth-shattering flame. The heavenly core fire and earth core fire merged with the hurricane and turned into a flaming tornado that was thousands of feet tall. It swept toward Ji Tianxing. Swoosh, swoosh. Two terrifying flaming tornadoes swept across the night sky in the blink of an eye. They flew for dozens of miles and caught up with Ji Tianxing, who was running away quickly. Ji Tianxing had already escaped when he saw that the situation was not good. But just as he flew over another mountain range, he was hit by the flaming tornadoes that could destroy heaven and earth. He fell into the tornadoes and was crazily strangled. Suddenly, the dark green mountain range was strangled by the two flaming tornadoes. The earth shook and the mountains shook, and two deep scorched pits appeared. The area within a radius of 20 miles was filled with violent flames and tornadoes. The herbs and trees in the mountain were crushed by the tornadoes and burned to ashes by the flames. Even the earth and rocks were melted into magma by the terrifying flames and flowed freely. The flaming tornadoes raged for a long time. Countless magma was blown away and scattered on the surrounding ground, igniting a few neighboring herb mountains. The area within a radius of more than 30 miles was turned into a sea of fire. The monstrous fire lit up half the sky and also alarmed countless guards and commanders in the herb garden. Exclamations sounded around the herb garden as more than 100 guards rushed over. In the distant night sky, 5 guard commanders flew across the night sky at lightning speed and rushed toward the heavenly wind fiery bird. The heavenly wind fiery bird floated in the sky and looked down at the mountain range below. It saw that the entire mountain range was turned into a sea of fire, countless herbs were burned, and the earth was turned into magma and scorched earth. The regret in its heart deepened. Damn it! I've destroyed another mountain range and burned down 2 medicinal mountains. This time it's over. Even if I kill that brat, the main family will definitely not forgive me. The heavenly wind fiery bird was both regretful and furious. Even if it turned Ji Tianxing into ashes, it would not be appeased. It stared at the sea of fire, searching for Ji Tianxing's figure. However, the sea of fire raged for a long time and Ji Tianxing's figure did not appear again. Not long after, the 5 guard commanders arrived and flew to the heavenly wind fiery bird's side. When they saw that the 2 mountain ranges had turned into a sea of fire, they were instantly shocked and let out a confused cry. "Senior Heavenly Wind, what's going on? Senior Heavenly Wind, why did you set fire to several herb mountains?" Chapter 680. Although the strength and status of the 5 guard commanders were lower than the Firebird, they were still very respectful towards the Firebird. They were usually very respectful to the Firebird of Heavenly Wind. When they opened their mouths, they would always call him senior. They didn't dare to slight him in the least. However, the scene in front of them terrified them and made them unable to calm down. Therefore, the 5 commanders all opened their mouths to ask questions, their tone anxious and puzzled. The Firebird of Heavenly Wind suppressed its rage and explained in a low voice, "Why would I set a fire for no reason? Wasn't it because a little bastard broke into the herb garden that I took action? When the 5 commanders heard this, they understood the reason and quickly searched for traces of the intruder. Someone broke into the herb garden? Who is so bold? Are they tired of living? Senior Firebird, are you sure only one person broke into the herb garden? The herb garden is protected by a soul-level array. Who can break the soul-level array and break in? Could it be a soul-level cultivator? Where is that person? Why is there no trace of him? The Firebird of the Heavenly Wind was extremely irritated by the questions of the 5 commanders, and it roared angrily, "All of you, shut up! That little bastard who broke into the herb garden has been burned to ashes by my wind and fire. I will report this matter to the main family and take responsibility. I don't need you juniors to tell me what to do." The Firebird had been guarding the herb garden for hundreds of years, and his status was much higher than the 5 commanders. When the 5 commanders saw that he was angry, they quickly shut up and didn't dare to say anything else. Everyone was silent for a moment before one of the commanders suggested, "Everyone, let's cast spells to extinguish the fire as soon as possible." The other commanders quickly nodded in agreement. "We can't let the fire spread or it will affect more of the herb mountains. At this point, we can only put out the fire first. Let's work together to cast rain. This way we can put out the fire faster." Just as everyone was about to cast spells to make rain, a dazzling golden light suddenly flew out from the sea of fire below. Swoosh! That sacred and rich golden light instantly rushed out of the sea of fire and flew into the sky not far away. The Firebird of Heavenly Wind and the 5 commanders stared blankly at the ball of golden light. Only then did they realize that it was a golden seal the size of a house. The surface of the golden seal was engraved with spirit runes and pictures of mountains and rivers. There was also a divine dragon and a flying phoenix carved on it, which looked very lifelike. The entire golden seal exuded a sacred aura, containing a majestic aura, as well as a domineering aura that encompassed mountains and rivers. With the knowledge of the Firebird and the 5 commanders, they could tell at a glance that this golden seal was definitely a soul-grade magic treasure. At this moment, the magic treasure golden seal emitted a mass of golden light, and a white-robed youth appeared out of thin air. It was Ji-Tianxing. He brushed the sleeves of his white robe with a smile on his face. He was completely unscathed. When the flaming hurricane hit him, he took out the seal of mountains and rivers at the critical moment and dived into the golden seal without hesitation. When the emperor gave him the seal of mountains and rivers, the imperial tutor had told him that the seal of mountains and rivers could help him block a fatal blow from a soul refinement realm cultivator. It could save him a total of 3 times. This magic treasure that the emperor had personally refined could even block a soul refinement realm cultivator's all-out attack. The Firebird of Heavenly Wind was only a half-step soul refinement realm cultivator, so the seal of mountains and rivers could naturally block the flaming hurricane and protect Ji-Tianxing from harm. Ji-Tianxing used his cultivation to shrink the seal of mountains and rivers by 10,000 times and held it in his palm. He stared at the golden seal in his palm and murmured with satisfaction, "Not bad, not bad. The emperor has put in a lot of effort, as expected of a soul-grade magic treasure." At this moment, the Firebird of Heavenly Wind and the 5 commanders finally regained their senses. The Firebird of Heavenly Wind widened its eyes in shock and shouted in disbelief, "Goddamn bastard, you're still alive. You're just a nobody, how can you have a soul-grade magic treasure?" The expressions of the 5 commanders became even more interesting. While they were shocked, they also looked at the Firebird of Heavenly Wind with strange expressions and couldn't help but mutter. Didn't Senior Heavenly Wind say that he had already killed the intruder? How can that kid still be unharmed? Who is that kid? How can he enter the herb garden alone? How can he break the soul-grade array? Although that guy has a soul-grade magic treasure, he's only at the 4th level of the Sky Origin stage. How can Senior Heavenly Wind not kill him? The 5 commanders had been stationed in the herb garden for a long time and hadn't left for many years. They didn't know anything about the outside world and didn't know Ji-Tianxing. They only felt that it was inconceivable. Who was Ji-Tianxing? At this time, Ji Tianxing had already put away the seal of mountains and rivers. He looked at the firebird of heavenly wind with a smile and said with contempt, "Stupid bird, you've disappointed me. This little trick is not enough. I didn't think that you, a half-step soul refinement realm cultivator, would call for help when you can't beat me. TSK, look at the 5 helpers you've brought. What kind of trash are they? Are you trying to send them to their deaths?" The firebird of heavenly wind was so angry that it almost vomited blood. Its body trembled and its feathers stood up. "You damned bastard! Reptile! Beast! I'm so angry! Today, no matter what, I will cut you into pieces and burn you to ashes." The firebird of heavenly wind roared angrily. It was on the verge of going berserk. Its body was covered in flames and its killing intent soared to the sky. It had used all its strength. The 5 commanders were furious as well. They glared at Ji Tianxing, wishing they could skin him alive and pull out his tendons. However, when they saw that the firebird of heavenly wind was about to set fire again, they were so scared that their faces turned pale. They quickly tried to stop it. "Senior Heavenly Wind, please calm down. You can't set fire again." "That's right. Senior Heavenly Wind, if you attack again, the entire herb garden will become a sea of fire." "That's right. If the entire herb garden is destroyed, we can all slit our throats and commit suicide to atone for our sins. Senior Heavenly Wind, please stop. Leave that little bastard to us. You just need to watch the battle." The 5 commanders tried to persuade the firebird of heavenly wind as they rushed toward Ji Tianxing. They were afraid that the firebird of heavenly wind would not be able to control itself and set fire to the herb garden. The firebird of heavenly wind suppressed its anger and had to calm down. Its intelligence was not low. After thinking about it calmly, it understood that Ji Tianxing was deliberately provoking it so that he could use its flames to destroy the herb garden. Therefore, it suppressed its murderous intent and did not attack. It stood in the night sky and watched the battle. "Good. I want to see what you 5 juniors are capable of and whether you can kill that kid." The 5 commanders drew their weapons and charged toward Ji Tianxing with murderous intent. They wanted to attack him together. Ji Tianxing turned around and fled without hesitation. He flew toward another mountain range full of herbs. He deliberately slowed down. Just as he flew over the mountain range, the 5 commanders caught up with him. "Kill him. We can't let him escape. Everyone be careful. Don't let the herb mountain be affected." Chapter 681. The commanders guarding the longevity garden were all at the 6th level of the sky origin stage. Plus, the 5 of them had cultivated a set of joint martial art called the Sky Shattering of 5 Directions. They worked well together. They were scattered in 5 directions around Ji Tianxing. They waved their swords and sabers at the same time, releasing powerful and dazzling saber light and sword light. Sky Heart Flame Slash. Thousand Star Destruction. Red Rainbow Purple Dragon Break. Blue Cloud Destruction. Sky Shattering of 5 Directions. The 5 commanders joined forces and attacked together. Instantly, Ji Tianxing's figure was drowned out by the enormous and terrifying saber and sword shadows. The area within 10 miles was also covered by a powerful force. It was like an invisible cage. Ji Tianxing was trapped in this invisible cage. He couldn't escape at all. If he couldn't break through the 5 commanders' encirclement, he would definitely be killed by them. Soon, more than a dozen multicolored saber lights, sword lights, and rainbows were about to hit Ji Tianxing. At the critical moment, he closed his wings without hesitation and used them to protect himself. Wings of the Golden Rock. Then a series of saber light, sword light, and rainbow light hit him, making a deafening sound. Bang, bang, bang. Ji Tianxing fell from the sky and smashed into the dark green mountain. With a loud bang, a 3,000-meter tall mountain of herbs was smashed into pieces, on the verge of collapsing. Then the overwhelming saber light and sword light slashed at the mountain range, cutting it in half and creating a dense ravine. The entire mountain was shaking violently. Rocks and soil were flying in the sky. They were all covered by the colorful True Origin stage light. a herb mountain and half of the mountain were destroyed. Countless herbs and trees were smashed into powder. They were mixed with the dust and scattered everywhere. The 5 commanders saw this scene. Their expressions were complicated. They felt heartache and relief at the same time. They felt heartache because another herb mountain was destroyed. They didn't know how to explain such a great loss to the main house. Fortunately, they had joined forces to besiege Ji Tianxing. Looking at the scene of the mountains collapsing and the earth cracking, this person was most likely killed. However, the 5 commanders did not dare to relax. They all opened their eyes wide and stared at the broken mountain range below. They even released their spiritual senses to explore the ruins below, searching for traces of Ji Tianxing. Only the firebird of Heavenly Wind's reaction was calm and indifferent, and there was even a hint of mockery in its eyes. With its previous experience, it dared to conclude that the combined attack of 5 commanders wouldn't even be enough to tickle that brat. Reality proved that the Heavenly Wind firebird had guessed correctly. In the next moment, a dazzling golden light flew out from the ruins of the broken mountain range. It was a white-robed figure. He flapped his golden wings and flew into the night sky like a streak of light. He didn't stop in the slightest and directly charged towards the nearest guard commander. His right hand held a bone hammer that was like white jade, and he raised it and smashed it down. Without a doubt, the bone hammer in Ji Tianxing's hand was the Demon Clan's clan treasure, the Ice Dragon Hammer. He used the Ice Dragon art and activated the power of the Ice Dragon Hammer, smashing out a ball of icy white light the size of a house. That ball of light seemed to be dense like mist, but it contained the power of the Ice Dragon and the power of the 1,000-year-old Yin Wind. It was truly the coldest in the world, and its power was terrifying. That guard commander was still in a daze. His eyes were wide open, revealing a look of disbelief. He couldn't believe that he and his 4 companions couldn't even hurt Ji Tianxing in the slightest after joining forces and unleashing such a powerful attack. When he saw the ball of white icy light coming and sensed that the situation was not good, it was already too late to dodge. That ball of white icy light, with a speed faster than lightning, instantly smashed into him. Bang! With a muffled sound, this guard commander was hit by the white icy light on the spot. His protective true essence instantly shattered, and his body immediately collapsed, shattering into tens of thousands of pieces of flesh. A strange scene appeared. The pieces of his body and blood were covered by the white icy light, and immediately turned into white ice crystals. Tens of thousands of ice crystals fell from the night sky onto the broken mountain range below. It was like a hailstorm. The ice crystals that covered the sky and the earth emitted a terrifying coldness after they fell onto the ground, immediately forming a layer of solid ice that covered the entire mountain range. The 4 guards and the firebird all saw with their own eyes that the entire mountain range turned into a white glacier in the blink of an eye. The soil in the mountain range turned into frozen soil that was as hard as steel. The surviving herbs and trees in the mountain range were also frozen to death, turning into powder. Everyone was stunned, and their faces were filled with astonishment. Even Ji Tianxing, who was in the sky, was stunned. A trace of disbelief flashed in his eyes. A Sky Origin Stage Level 6 powerhouse was smashed to death with one strike of the hammer? The Ice Dragon Hammer is indeed powerful. This is the power of the Demon Clan's ultimate treasure. When Ji Tianxing used the Ice Dragon Hammer to break the array's weak point, he only felt that the Ice Dragon Hammer was very powerful, but he didn't have a direct experience like this. At this moment, when he used the Ice Dragon Hammer to kill a guard commander, he finally felt the terrifying power of the Ice Dragon Hammer. Of course, he was shocked. The other 4 guards came to their senses, and their faces were filled with terror. They hurriedly retreated. Now, they finally believed the firebird's words. This white-robed young man in front of them was simply a monster. Although his cultivation level wasn't high, he had a soul-level magical weapon in his hand. It was too terrifying. The 4 guards lost all their will to fight. They didn't dare to fight with Ji Tianxing anymore. They just wanted to get away from this terrifying guy as soon as possible. However, Ji Tianxing held the Ice Dragon Hammer and chased after them with a cold smile on his face. Don't you think it's too late to run away now? He flapped his golden wings and rushed towards the 4 guards like a shooting star. He held the ice dragon hammer and was about to attack again. The 4 commanders were scared out of their wits. They immediately scattered in all directions and fled into the distance in a panic. As they fled, they didn't forget to shout anxiously, urging the Firebird to attack. "Senior Heavenly Wind, what are you still standing there for? Quickly stop him. Senior Heavenly Wind, you can't just watch us die. Senior, we have misunderstood you, please kill him quickly." The Firebird couldn't help but sneer when it saw their terrified looks. This prince was wondering how capable you all were. How dare you question this king's strength? You deserve to die. Of course, it was only saying that to vent the resentment in its heart. After saying that, it flapped its wings and rushed towards Ji Tianxing as fast as lightning, wanting to stop him from killing. Unfortunately, Ji Tianxing had already caught up to the guard commander closest to him. He raised his hammer and smashed it. "Ice Dragon Break!" As he shouted angrily, the crystal-clear ice dragon hammer burst out with an overwhelming amount of cold air. It formed an ice dragon that was hundreds of meters long and fiercely attacked the guard commander. Kaboom! The guard commander didn't have time to dodge or block. He was immediately hit by the ice dragon and was blasted into pieces on the spot. His flesh and blood were frozen into ice crystals by the cold air and scattered on the ground below. Instantly, a mountain of herbs was turned into an ice mountain. Brothers, Xiaohe has to explain that from the 11th to the 15th of this month, Xiaohe will be going to Shanghai to participate in the Advanced Online Literature Seminar. Chapter 682. At this moment, Ji Tianxing was as ferocious as a dragon. His aura was domineering and powerful. In the blink of an eye, 2 of the 5 powerful guard commanders were killed by him. When the 3 surviving commanders saw that their companions were smashed to pieces with a single hammer, they were so scared that their souls almost left their bodies. Their limbs and legs went soft. When Ji Tianxing smashed the 3rd guard commander to death with his hammer, the Firebird finally arrived and stopped him. "Bastard! You're so savage! Stop for this king!" The Firebird roared and cursed. It opened its mouth and spat out heavenly flames that covered the sky and covered the earth. It poured down towards Ji Tianxing like a flood. Instantly, the sky within 1,000 meters was enveloped by the scarlet heavenly flames. The heavenly flames were like the scorching sun, illuminating half of the night sky, causing the surrounding 10 miles to be incomparably hot. The air was also burned to nothing. Ji Tianxing had no choice but to give up on chasing after the 2 surviving commanders. Instead, he swung the ice dragon hammer at the Firebird. "Stupid bird, I've been waiting for you for a long time." Ji Tianxing sneered and shouted. He channeled all of his power and crazily activated the power of the ice dragon hammer, causing the sky to be filled with white ice light. 1,000 miles of icy wind. With a low shout, the white light that covered the sky and the earth mixed with the 1,000-year-old cold wind and instantly drowned out the endless heavenly flames. The area within a radius of 20 miles turned into a vast expanse of white ice. The cold wind howled between heaven and earth, causing the sky to wrinkle. The mountain range below also collapsed and turned into white glaciers. The heavenly flames released by the Firebird were immediately extinguished. It could not harm Ji Tianxing at all. After the icy wind that swept through the world enveloped the Firebird, the flames on its body immediately fluttered like a candle in the wind that was about to be extinguished. Seeing this, the heavenly wind Firebird widened its eyes in horror, revealing a look of intense shock. "This is the power of the ice dragon rhinoceros? You bastard! The magic treasure in your hand is actually the horn of the ice dragon rhinoceros." The ice dragon rhinoceros was the nemesis and natural enemy of the Firebird. How could it not recognize it? When it saw that the bone hammer in Ji Tianxing's hand was made from the horn of the ice dragon rhinoceros, it was shocked and angry. A trace of fear flashed through its heart. That was the fear that demonic beasts had towards their natural enemies, an innate fear. Ji Tianxing stood high up in the sky and looked at the Firebird with a smile. he said in a mocking tone. "If I didn't have a way to restrain you, why would I barge into the longevity garden alone? Firebird of the heavenly wind, accept your fate. You can't protect this herb garden. If you continue to resist stubbornly, I will destroy you and the herb garden together." Ji Tianxing's tone was full of confidence and arrogance, as if he controlled the life and death of the heavenly wind firebird. When he had first entered the herb garden, the heavenly wind flaming bird had spoken to him with such an expression and tone. Now, he was returning an eye for an eye, causing the skywind flaming bird to be greatly humiliated. "Bastard! This king is the descendant of the vermilion bird and the blue bird. How noble is my bloodline! How could I be afraid of a lowly rhinoceros? What's more, the magic treasure in your hand is only a horn. Don't even think about defeating this king. You damned bastard, this king swears to live and die with the longevity garden. If you want to destroy the herb garden, you have to step over this king's corpse first." The firebird of the heavenly wind raised its head proudly and cursed angrily while resisting the erosion of the icy wind. Ji Tianxing was not angry. The smile on his face became even more mocking. "Good. You stupid bird, you actually have some backbone. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish." After saying that, he used the Ice Dragon art again and activated the power of the Ice Dragon Hammer, releasing endless icy wind. Ice Dragon Slash of 10,000 blades. A vast expanse of white icy air and thousand-year-old cold wind immediately sealed off an area of 10 miles, forming an ice domain. The cold ice condensed into 6 ice dragons, circling around the firebird of the heavenly wind. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they attacked it. The cold wind and cold air also condensed into tens of thousands of ice swords, shuttling back and forth like flowing light, attacking the firebird of the heavenly wind. The firebird of the heavenly wind was suppressed by the ice domain. Not only was it unable to escape, its strength was also weakened. The 6 ice dragons ferociously attacked, and the tens of thousands of ice swords shot out like a rain of arrows, immediately causing it to fall into a desperate situation of life and death. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The ice dragons danced wildly, and the sword light was as dense as rain, causing the ice domain within a radius of 10 miles to fall into extreme chaos and violence. The firebird of the heavenly wind roared angrily, flapping its wings crazily, waving its claws to fight the 6 ice dragons. Moreover, it also released surging spiritual fire of heaven and earth, condensing it into a shield to protect itself, blocking the attacks of the tens of thousands of ice swords. The firebird of the heavenly wind and the 6 ice dragons fiercely clashed, constantly bursting out with muffled bang 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 sounds, overflowing with a violent and devastating force. Countless ice swords bombarded it, causing its fire shield to tremble continuously, constantly bursting out large amounts of sparks. In a short span of 20 breaths, the firebird of the heavenly wind's fire shield collapsed. Its body was covered in countless wounds from the ice dragons and ice swords, many of which were so deep that bones could be seen. Dark red blood gushed out of the wounds, and the power of fire quickly leaked out. Although it desperately resisted and counterattacked, it still shattered 3 ice dragons and shattered thousands of ice swords. However, Ji Tianxing kept urging the power of the Ice Dragon Hammer to replenish the cold air and Yin wind for the ice domain. The shattered ice dragons and ice swords quickly reformed. Unless the firebird of the heavenly wind could completely destroy the ice domain, or destroy the magic treasure, the Ice Dragon Hammer. Otherwise, the ice domain would continuously condense ice dragons and ice swords until it was cut into pieces. Not long after, the firebird of the heavenly wind was covered in wounds from the ice dragons and ice swords. Its entire body was covered in hideous wounds, revealing the dark golden bones within. A rain of blood kept falling from the wounds. Originally, the firebird of the heavenly wind's blood contained the power of the heavenly fire, and it was as hot as fire. However, its blood dripped out, and before it touched the ground, it was frozen into ice crystals by the cold air. Finally, a quarter of an hour passed. There was no place on the firebird of the heavenly wind's body that was unscathed. At least 100 wounds had been inflicted by the ice dragons and thousands of ice swords. It had completely gone crazy. It used the forbidden secret technique, burning blood spirit transformation, and did not hesitate to consume 100 years of its cultivation to unleash its last bit of power. Burning blood spirit transformation. Burning heaven and earth. The firebird of the heavenly wind raised its head and roared, letting out a sorrowful cry. Its feathers, flesh, and blood were all set ablaze. It recklessly released the natural spirit fire and transformed into a dazzling, scorching sun. Boom! The endless spirit fire of heaven and earth exploded like a huge mushroom cloud, blowing the entire ice domain into pieces. The white cold air and the Een wind immediately disappeared in the sea of fire. The heaven and earth within a radius of dozens of miles instantly turned into a domain of fire, and there was only endless fire left in the world. Without a doubt, Ji Tianxing was sent flying. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Even with the protection of the golden wings, he was still severely injured by the firebird of the heavenly wind's dying counterattack. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.